Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we're going to be discussing Mr. Alexander Cummings for President of Liberia. My debaters here tonight I have, introducing first is J. Randy Darpoh. Randy, welcome to Focus on Liberia Friday Night Debate.
Yeah, so Dennis, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. This is such a beautiful platform. So if you are invited on such a platform, there's nothing else to express but to say big thank you and to your team and all those who follow this network. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to be here. And to Leo, thank you so much for utilizing the time. I know this is Christmas season. There are a lot of last minute time things that need to take place. But with the sacrifice that you guys have made, and I'm very thankful to God first, and I would like to appreciate you guys for that. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much. And by the way, Randy, for at least a month or two ago, was an independent supporter of Mr. Cummings. Now he's not. But we're going to get into that. Let me welcome Mr. Isaac Tukpah. He's the former Chief of Office Staff of Mr. Alexander Cummings. Isaac, welcome to Friday Night Debate. Isaac, don't tell me you're frozen.
It looks like you froze for a second.
I was losing energy there, battery for a second, so I had to ping. Can you hear me now?
Okay, we can hear you now. Go ahead, Isaac. Welcome.
Okay, so Randy, why you get to the show late? Your stomach was running, you had to run to the bathroom?
No, I went to guess. I placed an order for my case, but due to the temperature here, they kind of delayed the order for 1 hour. So when I came by, I have to use this laptop, which is one of the beautiful laptops that I have. So I don't know what you touch on me like this to begin with first. You're not going to be asking me this question.
Okay, folks.
I
see everybody. I'm in my Christmas outfit, you know.
Okay.
We actually, if you hear some music, just understand there's a little bit of distraction because we're having a pajamas party tonight. This is my pants right here. You see the candy stick and everything. So Randy is just an afterthought. So I'm excited to be here. Randy, how you doing? Leo, how you doing? Dennis, you know, this is just an important opportunity for us to, you know, explain to those who want to listen more about Mr. Cummings. That's what it is. And I think Randy will help me in the process because that's what he would do, will seek his input on all the positive things he said about Mr. Cummings before. And we'll try to get on the emotional side of why he's reacting the way he's reacting. You know, like just going nuclear. You know, Randy he's a good young man, and there's room for improvement. So we'll try to work with him.
Thank you, Mr. Let me welcome my co-moderator here and also independent analyst of the debate tonight, as Leo Nopulu Johnson, who is joining me from Canada. Leo, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Hi, Mr. Jad. Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you, Isaac. Good to see you, Randy, as well. Merry Christmas to you and your family. This is the time of the season, and it's good to see that everyone is healthy and doing well. I look forward to the discussion tonight, and I look forward to hearing you both as you make your case.
And we want to say Merry Christmas to all our viewers across the globe, and Happy New Year. This time we're going to get an opening, and I should mention that both Randy and Isaac at one point were staunch members of the CDC or this campaign and supported now President George Weah. So that's one thing they have in common. So they know each other very well, I suppose. Now let's begin the discussion tonight by your opening argument. And the opening question is, will Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings make a good president for Liberia? And what I want you to talk about in your yes or no answer, let's talk about the qualification, the experience, the integrity, judgment, decision-making, and what it takes to turn the country around, because we all know Liberia is in a big mess right now. And so what does it take? Does Mr. Cummings have that? For this, our common toss say, Mr. Randy Darpoh, you go first.
I didn't see your thoughts, but I guess I'll just have to rule along.
We did a toss before the show started.
I'll have to call you later on to verify that. Anyway, again, let me say a big thank you. This is a very good platform, and I think we're going to keep things very safe over here. The goal here is to provide our own version of what we think and let everyone decide. So the question is Mr. Cummings or will Mr. Cummings be a better president? First of all, I don't think he will be a better president, and here's why. Mr. Cummings has spent most of his time in corporate America, and most of the things that he did is more of a corporate central rather than a public center. Secondly, they were meant for profit making, and the public service is not to provide, to make profit, but to provide services. So that is something that is very, very of a concern, not only to me, but to meaningful Liberians, having someone from a corporate background that never participated in any legislative or public service where there was a massive responsibility to deal with people. Secondly, Mr. Cummings' philosophy towards how he believed Liberia should be contradicts some of the things that he said. So that means a consistency, there is none there, is very inconsistent. For example, Mr. Cummings has said we can't keep doing the same thing over and over, but his selection of people who had done things to the country does not validate what he said. Also, Mr. Cummings has also said that past performance will always predict future performance, or recently people who joined a team that he brought onto this team. After all these time looking at these people character, we find Mr. Cummings now with his own words, vomiting his own words. He has people who are part of his team that are coming in with some misconception as it relates to financial responsibility. Thirdly, Mr. Cummings doesn't understand the politics of Liberia, all right? The engineering politics of Liberia, the social politics of Liberia. For example, Mr. Cummings once said, and on so many occasions, that's the inconsistency as well, that he will not go to any community that he believes will not support him. That was something that is unheard of. You cannot be a political candidate, whether there are two people within a community, you cannot come up broadly to say these things. When you say this thing, it proves to people that you have lack of political experience and you have none. And aside from that, the fourth reason is Mr. Cummings doesn't really admit to truth, all right? For example, he will ask whether he is a U.S. citizen or have he ever applied for U.S. citizenship. Those were straightforward questions that were asked of Mr. Cummings. And today, Mr. Cummings is yet to provide answer to those questions as to whether he ever applied for U.S. citizenship. So the question to Mr. Cummings for me here is, I work in corporate America. I had done a lot of Security and Exchange Commission reporting. Mr. Cummings has been listed on there. I'm not going to be the one to force Mr. Cummings, but he knows within himself that as a leader, you must lead with example and be very honest with the people. Mr. Cummings knows very well that he once upon a time, had that citizenship. How do I know that? When he was asked in Minnesota whether he had a citizenship, he admitted to that. So why is he now coming now flip-flopping on what he said before and what he's saying? So everything I said, ladies and gentlemen, is based on inexperience, inconsistency, and lack of character. And someone like that cannot be trusted with a country like Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Randy Darpoh. Let me go to Mr. Isaac Tukpah. Same question. Will Mr. Cummings make a good president for Liberia? And we are looking at his qualification, integrity, experience, judgment, and what it takes to move the country forward.
Okay, so Mr. Cummings is not running in a vacuum, right? He's not the only person running for president. It's about the choices that exist for the Liberian people today. And hands down, any Liberian of worth will clearly say Mr. Cummings is the best candidate out there. And there are multiple reasons why Mr. Cummings is the best candidate. His management experience comes into play. He was the chief administrative officer of a Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola had about 79,000 employees at that point. and all the major functions in that company were reporting to Mr. Cummings. And that ability to absorb the material coming from diverse sources and synthesizing them and being able to put them forward in a corporate strategy actively runs a Fortune 100 company at the highest level is extremely impressive. Randy says he's been in corporate America and he knows the level he's at compared with the level Mr. Cummings at. And you can't get to that level with all integrity. That's the first. You can't get to that level, especially somebody coming from Point Four in Liberia who has no connection with people in corporate America. You know, goes to nothing, gets his master's degree at Clark and gets into that corporate setting and exemplifies and set himself apart from the and we know the competition is fair, especially in a traditional company like the Coca-Cola company, and to rise from the African side to come to the US side and be the head man of all operations of that institution. That is something that, you know, most people cannot comprehend, even people in corporate America. But luckily, Randy comprehends that. And those are the things that we discuss. Those are the things that impressed him. And if he can be honest, he will say so. We had those conversations about Mr. Cummings. So whatever bitterness or whatever issues that upset Randy that driving him in this direction today, hopefully he can spill his guts and we can try to do some, you know, counseling or rehabilitation on this call so he can lean towards his previous understanding of why Mr. Cummings is the best option. Mr. Cummings has the education. Mr. Cummings understands business. Mr. Cummings understands the current problems in Liberia, especially as it relates to the jobs that needed, to the economy, to managing in terms of all these criticals that we need right now, and just the whole mindset of our country, where the hearts and minds of our people are, which is a major focus of his platform, to utilize all tools available to engage the hearts and minds of Liberian people to come onto one platform for us to move forward as a people to make a difference in our country. So it's important for Liberians to be able to listen tonight to what Mr. Cummings is, to the kind of person he is, how he came from, you know, Point Four to demonstration school, to Vietnam, to CWA, to Cuttington, to Northern Illinois, to you know, Clark Atlanta, and then to his professional experience. So it's very important that people understand this man has been a lead president class at CWA, and he has operated in that distinct capacity as a leader consistently, mentoring people. There are people across the world today who are mentees of Mr. Cummings, and he put them to wherever they are in terms of their success today. So, you know, for somebody who's probably bitter, to try to denigrate a person of that character, of that level of integrity, of that level of success, is just a pity, you know. So we'll not be here trying to discount all the noise Randy is making, but we'll be here to accentuate the positives of Mr. Cummings, the capability of Mr. Cummings, the dire need for somebody like Mr. Cummings to lead Liberia and move us in that right direction. Given the competition we have, you know,
thank you,
former Vice President Joseph Boyka, current President George Weah, and Tewan Gonglo, we believe that Mr. Cummings is the best option.
Thank you so much. I also have Mr. Leo Napolo Johnson listening here. Leo,
Yeah,
you heard the two in the opening.
yeah. I will go at Randy first, and then I'll go with Isaac as well to help us just maybe put some things in context here. So, Randy, when I listened to you very well, you made the analogy that being a corporate executive or being in corporate America and being president for Liberia, in fact, you base your argument on the fact that why Mr. Cummings you don't think would do a good job as president, given the fact that he comes directly from the corporate world to politics. But I'd like to draw your attention to a Harvard study and Cornell as well.
Not only that.
Hold on, Randy.
Randy, that was one of the points. Yeah, I know you made other points as well, but that was one of the points that you made. So I would like to take that one first.
You're missing the key factor in there, though.
Hold on, Randy. You were coming.
Okay.
Okay, I just let me ask you the question, Randy. When I ask you the question, and you can
you see
you
see
can wrap
why I don't
everything.
want to kind of waste time with any thoughts.
Yeah, you can wrap everything inside, Randy. When I throw the question at you, then you can take your time. Whatever else I miss, you can add it. So I just want to reference a Cornell, Oxford, and Harvard review about the 5 qualities and abilities that CEOs from the corporate world or executives from the corporate world bring. One is their ability to hire and fire people and the ability to identify talent and groom talent. 2 is the ability to set clear objectives as to what needs to be accomplished when you are in the corporate world. Number 3 is communications. They are great communicators when they have to work with people and help people understand what they need to do. Number 4, they understand how to build cultures that are required for productivity. And number 5, they understand the process of accountability and the value of it. So these are things that have been established that people in the corporate world, to be successful in the corporate world, you must be able to cultivate and establish. Randy, do you think these values are also very important when it comes to running a country or being president of a country?
Yes, absolutely. It is value, but it depends on the individual who will be able to adequately implement those measures. And this is why Mr. Cummings is limited. Let's understand the corporate system that Mr. Cummings came out of. You and I currently work in our same system or are part of that system. It's structure. It is structure. The performance of Mr. Cummings today in the public sector, also of the structure sector, exposes his weakness, the qualities, the integrity, the morals. Mr. Cummings has completely lost these things.
Yeah. Dennis, I don't want us to go too long. You actually answered my question, Randy, excellently. Okay, and so my point is, but we agree that Cummings being in the corporate world means at the very least he went through the processes of understanding the system. I guess your argument is his ability to implement it is what
transfer
his ability to transfer those skills
into the public sector, listing
so,
all the qualities. He's limited in that.
Okay, so that means he meets the qualification, because before they try you when they hire you,
not being able to.
Randy, when you go to an interview, and when they put up a job posting, and then they say, we all apply, we send our resume in. They call you for an interview. There's no way they can actually prove 100%. They trust your credentials on paper. They trust the schools.
They are different type of interview. They are structured interview. They are one-on-one interview. So you got to understand those things.
Yeah, actually, I'm just saying at the end of the day, the biggest decision-making factor that they go by is usually by your qualifications, your credentials, and your previous experiences. So all I'm saying is, can we say that based on it? I'm not saying Cummings is capable of transferring these things. That's not my argument. I don't know that for a fact. But can we say on paper and based on what we know that indeed he has these experiences and have worked in these places, and according to you, they are also valuable if the person is able to implement it? Is that fair?
It's unfair because, number one, Cummings does not understand the challenges that's in the country. I don't care whether it's by paper or not. The practicality of Cummings' ability to prove to Liberians, because you got to understand, Liberians like you, Dennis, myself, Asifa, we are of different diversity in our skill and understanding of things now. It's not like before where we were limited to Liberia. Across the globe, there are many Liberians. So when you just want to limit yourself to paper, it brings into question your ability to be very practical in what you do. And let's focus on the qualities that you listed. Let's focus on the moral, the ethics.
There was no moral or ethics in the qualities I listed based on the research. But you answered my question.
Let me unwrap that. So to me, whether it's on paper or not, he has not proven whether it's through transferring the skills or whether it's through implementing the skill. His decisions have been very bad, worse off. Most especially, he came with a tune. We cannot keep doing the same thing over and over. But when you look at Mr. Cummings' scorecard that we call today the Bowler, BOWLER, everything is bad. Nothing good that you can verify Mr. Cummings. He bringing people in that has done bad things to the West into the country. And he making it in the face of the party. So how can you balance up people who have been hurt by these people versus the people that you bring
I don't want us to go off the question. I think you answered my question effectively. Thank you. Isaac, let me ask my last question.
If you don't mind. Thank you.
Let me ask Isaac my question, and then Mr. Jha will turn it back over to you here. Mr. Tukpah, my question to you is, all of these professed qualities that we've seen of Mr. Cummings, I mean, giving his work, everything, I will say to everybody that those are not
you just validated them. So go ahead.
Wait,
yeah.
Isaac.
So Yeah, so those are not experiences on paper. Those are experiences that he worked for a number of years that we all have seen. My question to you, Mr. Tukpah, is why then is the ANC or those that work within the Cummings teams finding it so hard to translate this interpretation in a way that the Liberian people can grasp onto? Because when I hear ordinary Liberians speak in the street, most of the time doing the streets in interviews, the things that they say are clearly some of the things that I see. People want honesty, people want transparency, people want accountability, people say corruption. But how come the ANC team has not been able, Mr. Cummings has not been able to position himself as the direct link that anytime everybody mention any of these things, you can directly correlate it?
Well, I disagree with you. The Cummings are coming clean hands, right? And the Homers are coming to a different standard. So yes, the Liberian people do see the embodiment of those things in Mr. Cummings. Unfortunately, people like Randy and other people out there who want to smear Mr. Cummings to say, oh, he's just like everybody else, they do that. Now, Mr. Cummings has put forward a big tent theory. The key is anybody can come into the tent. Anybody can come and work, okay? But there are rules that you have to follow while in the tent. And if you violate those rules, then obviously there are, consequences to pay. And that's why Mr. Cummings is clear on accountability. One of the key issues you just said here, okay? There are talent in people. Take, for example, majority of the Liberian population, you are a facilitator, Leo, for a lot of Liberians to get opportunities in the West, especially in Canada. Now, when those Liberians come, the same behavior that they exemplify in Liberia, do they exemplify that behavior when it comes to work, when it comes to relating with people, when it comes to general engagement? They don't. So it's about the rules that you impose or that you set as the standard. That's what drives how people behave. So for them to talk about, people who were accused, they haven't gone to court yet, to be excluded from the political process, that makes no sense. If that's the case, so many people, I don't want to just go back because other people in there now know. So many people will be excluded from our political system. We don't need that. We need inclusion. We need a war and economic crimes code that Mr. Cummings support to make sure that these people get their day in court. And they understand where Mr. Cummings' position is very clear. He embraces the war and economic crime code. Sure.
Yeah, quick. Look, just a quick follow-up to turn, Mr. Jam. My quick follow-up to you is, are you then satisfied?
Go ahead.
Are you very satisfied with the level of response that we've seen so far on the campaign trail or on the engagement trail? Let me call it engagement trail because we haven't opened formal campaigning yet in the political season. But on the engagement trail so far, are you satisfied with the level of reception, the level of response that you're getting based on what you know from the inside? Are you satisfied with that?
I'll be very honest here. I believe in a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, where you can constantly and consistently improve. So you can't sit here and be satisfied with where we are today. Mr. Cummings is a fighter. He's a competitor. He doesn't come rah-rah making all that noise like some people. But in his mind, he really wants to compete and win. And he's doing what he can. Because we've got to be very honest with ourselves. Our political situation, we are operating in a democracy where 95% of people don't understand what democracy means. Probably 98% can't spell democracy. So we are in a situation where we have to teach civics. We have to teach people their rights. We have to give them an understanding of how to compare candidates. We have to give them an understanding the fact that somebody being around or somebody is popular is not the criteria that you use to elect that person. You use other factors involved, like the ones you listed. So in my mind, the campaign team has not started yet. It's Team Cummings that is established, and they're there to support Mr. Cummings. He does need people to come on board. We need more people to come on board. And like he said before, there will be a greater diversity of people who will support him. But those who are willing to stand up now and come support him, he cannot disabuse them or not accept them to be a team. Yes, there will be some restructuring around what goes on. There is more engagement going on. Every engagement not visible. A lot of people, look, take for example, even the policy team that I'm working with, some people don't even want their name to be in the policy forum for fear somebody may take a screenshot and carry their name, and the legal right will go by the wayside, right? And the energy that's coming is picking up, momentum is building. Look, people cannot expect the Cummings to win an election today. No, the elections will be won in October. The foundation is being set now in different aspects. When that kind of culminates and comes together, then people can see the force. But to make some of these, vague assessments, or people who don't understand or don't know what's happening, to just make generalizations, I think those are unfair to us. But again, this is politics, and that's the label that people want to place on our team and on Mr. Cummings. So we share those, and we focus on the plan that we have, and we keep revising, renewing, changing, and seeking greater improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Jab. Back to you.
Thank you, Leo, and thank you, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Friday Night Debate, Randy versus Isaac, in the topic, will Mr. Cummings make a good president for Liberia? And we're going into the step-by-step now, but before we go into that, I know one of the questions, Randy, a lot of people will ask you is you have moved back and forth a little bit. And so let's set the stage right here, because in September of this year, you were supporting Mr. Cummings, and you give all the reasons. I mean, I like your last, I think it was on September 27, when you talk about the lifestyle I struggle with, and you try to explain it, you were very convincing. Why should Liberians now watching us trust you that you were once with George Weah, you went back against him, I think 3 times, then you supported Mr. Cummings, now you are back, you don't think Mr. Cummings can make a good president. Why should anybody listening to you now believe that you're not going to turn around again? You are muted, sir.
You're on mute. On mute. Even though you're not making much sense, Randy, but we still want to hear you.
I asked you to stop it.
Randy, you have to unmute your there you go. That's good.
I'm used to that, guys. We use Teams as well as my place of work, so this is belated for some of us. You know that, Leo, and every one of you guys. So my question to you, Dennis, you went back and forth, giving some timeline about my activities into Liberian politics. But what I want you to clearly explain, we say when you back again. So that back again, I want to understand that. What do you mean by that?
Oh, you supported Weah, then you didn't support him, then you supported him again, I think 3 times. For Mr. Cummings, you supported him when you became the independent supporter of Mr. Cummings. You had a group, and my own friend Miata Dakina was part of that group. Now you are not supporting Mr. Cummings any longer.
Okay, because at the very end of the first time you made that statement, you say now you're back again.
You supported Boaka also, just to bring that in.
Who supported Boaka? Me?
Yeah,
I supported Boaka. You guys need to be honest with yourself.
There are a few posts about you, Randy, that I've watched. Few of the shows that you supported Boaka.
All right, let's just keep it with Weah.
Hold on. Let me clear that misinformation.
Okay, maybe you get Boaka in a different
Hold on. There is no time that I will ever support Joseph Boaka.
Okay, point well taken. Maybe we misunderstood you.
So, people who make those comments don't follow me. But let me come to what I'm going to say here, right? Mm-hmm. If you find an engineer into politics, it becomes very unusual for the normal people. I believe in process observation. You see, my way of looking at politics is not static, it's dynamic. Not today, Leo did well today, and I say, thank you, Leo, you did well. Tomorrow, if Leo done something wrong or did something wrong, I would say, Leo, you're wrong. Liberians don't understand no logic. Remember, our politics is new. Since President Tukpah got elected, we have never had any form of democratic process in our country. Now, right after Charles Taylor, we let Eddie in, we have created a political party. What we miss in the political party, it is the ability to challenge things within ourselves, to make ourselves stronger. That is, if I am right today, commend me for that. If I'm wrong, let me take accountability. Most of the political leaders are not teaching these people. Thirdly, what I'm trying to establish is independent mind. There's no independent mind in Liberia. You're either for or you're against. This product that we have, we must learn to create independent mind. How? Today, when you support Cummings, they're all clapping for you. When you turn and support somebody, the very people who are against you, they're coming for you.
Yeah.
That is a case study that tells you that we don't have independence. So what
But-
I'm doing now is, hold on. You asked me a question. Let me finish this thing here because I'm being the big picture here. When I supported Mr. Cummings, I come in with 3 guiding principles: equity, equality, and transparency. There are things that Mr. Cummings did which I'm unsatisfied with. One, Mr. Cummings is bringing people who cause harm to the country. Does that meet my equity? No. Why? Because these people had the opportunity to make Liberian life better. They chose to do things that harm Liberian people. Me taking side with them violates some of the guiding principles I have. 2, Mr. Cummings' decision, political decision, to say to people that, look, I will not campaign in other areas because I feel that they will not win. That makes him a poor leader in a sense. I cannot support someone like that because all Liberians should be rich at any geographic. Number 4, Mr. Cummings, when I started campaigning for Mr. Cummings, I spoke to Mr. Cummings. You see, Mr. Cummings and I had a conversation in April of this year. And I asked Mr. Cummings, Tukpah is here. He made that connection along with Adolf Mongers. I asked Mr. Cummings, do you have a policy team? Do you have a campaign team? Mr. Cummings said, no, we don't have that. We're working on it. But this is the man who started 5 years ago. What happened to that time? Now, the last time we met, I told Mr. Cummings in Florida, I said, Mr. Cummings, I am not here to play around with you. If I'm here to support you, I want you to understand that whatever happened from what I did in the past is a lesson learned. So if I say something, I'm asking you to please consider what I'm saying because I'm not going to joke about that. When I ran this show, your friend Miada, let me just end with this.
Yeah, please.
Yes, when I spoke to Mr. Cummings, because he called me out, and I laid on my plan that I'm going to create something that had never happened before. Your policy will be translated into the various vernaculars for people who are non-speaking English people in the country will understand. But whatever I gather from that program, I will report that to you. There were 2 districts in Mosurado County, District 11 and District 17. I told Mr. Cummings, these 2 districts called and said they don't have a president of your party establishment. I want to validate Mr. Cummings' inability to redirect things. He could not do that. He became silent. He became silent on the whole issue. I saw a lack of commitment to what he promised. I can't work with somebody with all the negative things I'm giving you guys based on the fact from my past experience. So when I see things in a kind of non-static form, I look at things dynamically. If you do good, I stick with you. If you do bad, I stick with you. Liberians are not used to this thing. It's either you fall or you against. I'm here to create an independent group of Liberians. So that is the reason why you always see me do it. Then if you hear today, you say something good, I'll praise you. Tomorrow when you say something bad, I will criticize you. You like it, that's just me.
Right. No, that's a good thing. But it's a little different to criticize me than to come back and say Denny that nobody completely, But let me go to Isaac.
Mr. Jana, I want to give Randy a little analogy here before we go to Isaac. So Randy, you're an engineer, right? You say you come from an engineer background.
Now you said my credentials are here, so don't.
Yeah, that's what I say. You said I don't know. You can. I'm saying you just you're informing us.
Well, I'm informing you now, so don't say you said because it's actual. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a lie. No, why would I question your credentials? I wouldn't do that.
But you said it.
The analogy I want to make is this. As an engineer, if you are sent to inspect a bridge, to give a report by which they should choose, you are sent to inspect 3 bridges. And they say you should choose the most, the best bridge out of the 3 bridges by which you should convince a client to actually select. You went after your inspection and evaluation and everything, and you wrote your report. And you came to a room full of business people who are trying to make a decision on 3 bridges. And you did an eloquent presentation as to why one particular bridge was the best bridge to be chosen after all your analysis that you've done. And then they chose that bridge. And by the time they started riding over the bridge, somebody realized that one of the bars on the bridge were actually broken. And then you, the engineer, you the first man at Jomo and say, oh, because the bar on that bridge was broken, I'm switching my decision from that bridge to another bridge. Do you think you will have any credibility as an engineer for somebody to send you again to go evaluate another bridge and recommend to them why they should choose it or not?
Well, everything you just said is just an example. If I were doing that, I would do it differently. That's why I'm an engineer.
So how come you never did it differently with Cummings and what he needs? You've been going back and forth with Joshua and Cummings that you haven't done it the same way you would have done it with
But here's the thing here, right? The analogy you get is absolutely, not compared to what I do. First of all, an assessment will be done before an inspection. A historical facts of those things will be done before an inspection. So when it comes to Mr. Weir, all right, President Weir that I campaigned for, I stated myself during the campaign in 2017, that if he doesn't do the right thing, I will come back here and criticize.
Rennie, let me jump in because
let me answer the question
no,
now. Please.
hold on. I want to put rub butter on the question so you can enjoy it, right? You did all your analysis based on, you look at Weir, you look at Buaka, you look at Gonglo, you look at even me, and you picked Cummings, and for months you were telling us how good Cummings is, how Cummings is the best. So you coming back, so it means, so what Leo is saying is, so you present Cummings as the bridge now. So you did your analysis and say this is the best of the three people that are bidding for this project. Based on my analysis, this is the person I'm choosing. And now you are coming back, you say everything I told you before, throw it through the window. I now found out this man is now who he said he is. So when we come to if you have done this the first time, the second time, the third time, should we trust you again to go listen to your analysis?
That's all the investment that we made in choosing out because we believe.
Hold on. You see, the way you guys explain it is not the way it happens. All right? Here's how.
I'm talking about we are number one, we are number two, Cummings number one, and now you are on Cummings two.
No. All the thing you're listing is inaccurate. Those are inaccurate information. All right? When I campaigned for Mr. Weir in 2017, he got elected. The instant Mr. Weir started to bring in Lex, Emmanuel Nukwe, Westonga Finley, that were right in 2018.
Right.
And I differ with that because I felt that these people ruined the country. When I left, it took a year and a half when the IMF started to work with Mr. Weir. They gave me the assurance that, look, things are going to be okay right now. And I said, okay, based on this international organization that I know in the US that had a standard of work, let's work together. It was the lack of information which I was not receiving. That is why I decided to leave, because a lack of transparency. You see, when you're talking to me, you got to understand my three guiding principles: equity, equality, and transparency. I left the CDC at that time because there was nothing like transparency. It took a while, and I came and remained in the middle. While we're in the middle, I was still observing things. All right, that is how I faced my things out. I started to observe things. There were times that if Mr. Weir did the right thing, I commend him. There were times someone came out and said Mr. Cummings became an affirmative action and he got a job. I said, no, the affirmative action is just the process, but there are more detail. So I started balancing things out and looking at things. Now, when I came to support Mr. Cummings, remember, equity, transparency, and equality. I came into that and I said to Mr. Cummings, I am here to support you, but I want to be very firm with you that things that I have experienced in the past should not be taken for granted, because there are people who will be pointing at me that, oh, you support Mr. Weir to make him president. Mr. Cummings apparently just heard that and it passed through the other ear. I just told you guys, there were 2 communities, districts across the country, in Mossorado County, that call on
Randy, you deviated from
Hold on.
We got to go back to the topic here. Don't The question was very direct. On what basis did you make a recommendation? Ask all your followers.
You ask the question. I need to answer my question. You're not going to make
it's not your question. It's the question.
Okay, you ask a question. I'm still in flight. So
no, you're not answering the question. That's my point.
No, I am answering the question. I'm giving you a detail of how.
No, answer the question and you get the detail after. But give me the question and say everything else.
No. There's so many ways to skin a cat. There's so many ways to clean a fish. All right. So when I ask Mr. Cummings specific question about, when I presented data
on that already.
All right. Yeah, but because I got interrupted now, so I had to start. It's stop and stop. All right. So I'm going to start again. So when I asked Mr. Cummings about the 2 districts, he never responded. I saw lack of commitment and inconsistency. Now, when it comes to what Leo is describing in terms of when you do analysis, no. What I did to Mr. Cummings is by sitting with Mr. Cummings and clearly explaining my position to Mr. Cummings. It was Mr. Cummings who promised to give me a call based on my findings. All right, I did my findings. District 11 District 17 need some assistance. He, as the leader, instead of him coming and saying, you know what, Randy, sometimes people can be deceiving. Let me work with you, assign you to somebody who will locally so that you can verify those things, because the people you're working with, they are expecting your call. Because I told them, if I don't hear from Mr. Cummings, I will not push it forward, because what I learned from the past, how it had affected other Liberians who trusted my words. So Mr. Cummings' failure to reach to these things, the report you're talking about, I gave Mr. Cummings that report. He promised to get back to me 3 GMT time, 3 p.m. GMT time. Up to now, he never did. My assessment report, according to you, was given to Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings' failure to get back to me is the reason why I feel that he's not a leader. He's not prepared to be anything in our country.
Okay,
thank you. I just hope next time you do these things first before you start promoting the person.
I'm a teacher because there are people who get misinformation here.
But let me go to Mr. Tukpah. Mr. Tukpah, you are not also new to coming from one party to the other. You were with Mr. Weah. He became president. Things didn't work out, and now you are with Mr. Cummings. So you probably can tell us more of Randy's experience as well as yours. Mr. Tukpah, are you listening, or you frozen?
It looks like he's frozen there. Hopefully he can come back.
You'll be back.
Yeah, it looks like he got frozen a little bit. Yeah. So while Mr. Tukpah is frozen and trying to get back, okay, he's back. I think, Ava, did you hear the question?
No, can you repeat?
Dennis was asking the question that you also have a history of having been with CDC and helping elect Mr. Weah, and then all of a sudden leaving CDC and coming to ANC as well as in Randy.
Not all of a sudden. Don't make that qualification. Not all of a sudden. I gave CDC 2 years to try to...
Okay, you made a decision to leave CDC and join another party. So Mr. Jha was asking the question, can you also...
No, I made a decision to leave CDC. I was independent. I viewed the political landscape, and I made a decision that Mr. Cummings was the best option to lead our country, and I support him.
And do you understand Randy's decision now? Because Randy has evaluated and now he's not supporting. Do you understand based on your own experience?
Randy just said it. Randy didn't do any evaluation. Randy just said because Mr. Cummings never called him back or never implemented his plan. Basically,
that's not true. That's not true.
Randy, please answer. When you're answering the man, they're not.
Let him finish already.
Please give Mr. Tukpah the opportunity.
Randy just exposed himself. It's a personal situation. Randy is a person who needs attention. I know Randy. Randy, who brought you to the CDC? Who encouraged you to join the CDC?
I will answer that time when the time comes for me to talk.
Don't be asking the man for great dialogue. Please go ahead and make your point.
Randy, who encouraged you to come to Mr. Cummings? How many conversations we had?
I will answer that question.
So the point I'm trying to make is Randy has inflated his ego to a point where he thinks anything he says, should be something that should be implemented or followed. His key thing, Randy and I spoke. His key issue was he sent Mr. Cummings a message, and Mr. Cummings never responded to his message. That what crushed Randy, and that what Randy in the state he's in. So I can understand some people need that like emotional dependency or that connection, to be able to pursue an agenda or support a cause. Many people don't need it. So there will be some other Randys out there. But let's focus on Mr. Cummings' vision for this country, right? Mr. Cummings consistently say he wants to turn Liberia into a 21st century country. And he understands the issues we have, the infrastructure issues, okay? The limited revenue and the huge expenditure budget. That's where the management skills and the acumen of a man who has handled big businesses, budgets bigger than Liberian and government budget. He understands the key points, the priority sectors in our economy that we need to invest in, especially in the agriculture sector, okay, especially in the ecotourism sector, especially in the road, the infrastructure that we need. So he lays this vision out for our people, and he consistently talks about it. He got 5 key areas that he wants Liberians to focus on and to know that he can change this country: the infrastructure, the agriculture, the education, the healthcare. Those are, 4 of the main areas, and then the jobs and the economy, which is
Hold on,
very
Isaac.
critical.
Randy, please focus so we can see you. My viewers are telling me they say they want to see Randy. So if you want to bend your face, please move your body up so we can see you. Go
Okay,
ahead, Isaac.
so I just gave the 5 areas that Mr. Cummings thinks and believes by enhancing those areas in a strategic way. Not just take everything and just put it into infrastructure, or take everything. No, it has to be balanced. You see, development, you got building blocks and you got dependencies, you got inputs, and you got everything. So that understanding of what it takes to build, Mr. Cummings has that skill. And again, as demonstrated by Randy, Mr. Cummings has the listening and engagement skills. Mr. Cummings seeks input from a diverse or group of professionals or people qualified in a specific area. He doesn't just make decisions in a vacuum. So where we are today as a country, where significant portion of our people are poor, significant portion are illiterate, semi-literate, and some getting some form of education. Our healthcare is poor. All of these things are the key things that Mr. Cummings want to focus on. He has laid out a plan as to how he expects to achieve them. Again, we talk about the network of Mr. Cummings. Today across Africa, many of the successful people from Coca-Cola are into big business out here in the region and outside the region. The opportunities for us to create jobs in Liberia with a Cummings leadership is by far higher than anybody else coming in. That's what we need today. Whether it's technology jobs, service sector jobs, jobs in the agriculture sector, jobs in the housing sector, jobs in the infrastructure and technology development sector. Those are the area, and the ecotourism area, as a foundation, and then build on tourism. Look at this government. They say they spent $1.5 million in 2022 for the bicentennial. Ghana spent less than that. Ghana spent 6 million CDs, probably, well, a little bit more, 6 million CDs, probably about nearly 2 point something million or 1.8 million maybe. And what they got, $1.9 billion. What can the government show for our bicentennial that they spent 1.5 million for? Had they told Liberian people, oh, tourism increased by this amount of people came to the country, were able to get this? They were collecting bunch of COVID-19 fees from people, $75 on a regular. What was funny? So no accountability, and that's what one of the key qualities that Leo mentioned about leaders: accountability and transparency. And that's what Mr. Cummings seeks, and that's what he want to do. That's why at the bottom of those 5 key goals he listed is the hows. Okay, Mr. Cummings will focus on the hearts and minds of our people. We know where our people are. We know the situation. Okay, he will use governance and security and youth and women. All those are cross-cutting things that apply to those 5 things he's mentioned. So nobody else among those running have an integrated vision for the country that will focus on making an impact immediately when he hit the ground, and he will hit the ground running. Randy is sitting there. Randy is on our policy team. Randy Allah. Mr. Cummings said, no policy team. Are you not on the environment policy team? That's your second question.
All right. Thank you, Isaac. Randy, I will let you come in. This time now, I want you to break down the issues you have with Mr. Cummings that you think would not make him a good president, so that Isaac will respond. But let me go back to history, because I follow you very well. And you've been promoting Mr. Cummings and telling everybody you know, including your people from River G, you say, yo, come on, Cummings. Then something happened for which that was a trigger. And let me put it on the screen. You said you had a group of boys from Southeast that you wanted for them to be with Mr. Cummings, and something happened that they were not, from February to September, they were not seeing Mr. Cummings. And I think you had 3 or 4 different shows on this. and this was one of the posts, whoever in the office of Alexander Cummings that is holding and preventing Liberians from getting to Mr. Cummings is not doing justice to his chances of winning the 2023 election. We are working hard to determine who those are, and if we do, we'll let the people and voters of Liberia know. Mr. Cummings is not your personal property. So in this successive posting, you exonerated Mr. Cummings and blamed somebody you call the Findabondo in his office. From there, things went really downhill. Tell me and my listening audience, what are the issues you have against Mr. Cummings for which you think he's not going to make a good president for Liberia? You also mentioned because of those things. He said Cummings is going down. Alexander Cummings would never win any election in Liberia. Let him go sell Coca-Cola, and your postings are all over the place. And I watch you live. Let's go step by step. 3 major things that make you to change your mind, that make you to think today that Mr. Cummings, who you supported and promoted over 3 months or more period, that he's no longer your choice.
Yeah, thank you. That was very detailed. So what I would do here is, I think Leo gave me a very good framework to operate in. So the inspection report, as he described it to be, has been given to Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings' failure to look through that inspection report and see what are the critical points that could pose a threat to his chances of becoming president. As I mentioned something about Kazan. Kazan usually is predicated on the SWOT, the strength, the weakness, the opportunities of improvement. When you look at the 2 positive, Mr. Cummings is not in the 2 positive. Mr. Cummings is weak. He poses more threat to his organization. Mm-hmm. You see, everything you posted of me right now are things that I did as my assessment report. What you fail to post are things that they should have responded to that would have created an equal and opposite reaction. So my question to you is, you did all the research on me. Where are the counterproductive answers that they should have provided to you? And say, hey, you know what? Because all the things that I gave over there, I gave the threat he posted to himself. You mentioned about the Finabono. You mentioned about the 3 boys or the boys that's supposed to come from River G. Yeah. Those things did not come to fruition. Okay. All right? So I did my part. But having done my part, Mr. Cummings up to today hasn't responded. So let me come back in detail here, right? So again, when I start with Mr. Cummings, I have this information, but they are confidential text messages. I'm not going to make them any public knowledge right now until there is a certain point. When I start with Mr. Cummings, I gave Mr. Cummings my blueprint. One, I said, Mr. Cummings, I'm going to campaign for you diligently, using all what it takes to make you a better person. One, I'm going to contact a radio station where I'm going to start to push your agenda. And that agenda will be done simultaneously or parallelly with the vernaculars. And you were like, wow, I never imagined that. I said, yes, that's what I do best. Number 2, I said, I'm going to be canvassing to see where your strength and weakness are. I gather those information to relate to Leo's question about the report. I gave Mr. Cummings the report. Is there any reason why, up to today, you read those things that Mr. Cummings has not responded? You see, Tukpah want to picture me as somebody who is getting angry. No, Tukpah should be telling the people that, you see the Randy guy, he's committed to whoever he wants to work for. But the failure of that person to reach the party, if Mr. Cummings had even texted me back, if Mr. Cummings has even said, you know what, I have been busy, that would have been a reason to say, you know what, I think things happen sometime. But to just lay low, quietly, it shows that Mr. Cummings is not committed to what he is all about. He said things, but he never lived up to those things. You have read my report. You are seeing it. Mr. Cummings going down is a signal that he's posing more threat, if you look at the SWOT, to his ability. Mr. Cummings, now listen, the things Cummings you talk about, who came up with that logic? That was me. The video is out there. I don't know why you didn't look for that video. I said, things Cummings, you need to stand by yourself to create teams around. Did Mr. Cummings consult anybody? No. You see, another failure of Mr. Cummings is ability to reach out. You bringing these guys then on that have bad scorecards in the country. What was the vetting process? Who did he talk to? Mr. Tukpah, he said, Cummings brought me on the policy team. I mean, who brought you on the policy team? One, you asked me about CDC. You brought me to CDC. You recruited me because you felt that at that time I was so good that you wanted to bring me on board. We had a back and forward thing. Eventually, I caved into you. Number two, you came and reached out to me and said, I need you on ANC. And I said, okay, no problem. Connect me. You connected me with Edos Monga. Edos Monga and I had a conversation. Yes. But where did we end today? With this feud that was going on, neither you nor Ada was able to come and say, you know what? I got Mr. Cummings on the phone, Randy. Everything that's going on here, let's try to discuss this thing off record.
You said feud? You said a feud was going on?
So I'm always surprised. Everything Rennie has talked about. So your biggest grade that you talk about, 75% of your discussion has been about the fact that if Mr. Cummings was going to call you, then you are going to think, say, maybe things happen sometime. So because your report that you brought, why would you get a report to Mr. Cummings when Mr. Cummings was the bridge? Why didn't you bring the report to the public, but you still came to the public and told the public Mr. Cummings was a good man?
No,
and you keep making all of the corporate knowledges about SWOT analysis, and you say corporate,
no, I think you should rather ask me how much did you do before you came out to the public.
No, I'm talking about 75% of your knowledge being based on the fact that Mr. Cummings did not get out to you, he not reaching back to you, he never called you today.
It's inaccurate. It's inaccurate.
I mean, 75% of your discussion, people listening to you.
It's inaccurate.
Okay.
85%,
go ahead,
85% of my concern has to do with Mr. Cummings' inability to prioritize issue. Remember, I said in Florida, I told Mr. Cummings what my plan will be, but Mr. Cummings' inability to equally provide shared responsibility. Because
for your issues.
So what I saw over there, Mr. Cummings responded to the text message based on what I gave him as part of my plan. Remember, the plan was I'm going to canvas. I'm going to feed you back with what I got. He got that information. His failure to, I won't say failure, his inexperienced ability to equally distribute responsibility. What Mr. Cummings should have done, not directly call me.
Yeah, let Isaac respond to that.
No, hold on. I said talk for a long time. Let me finish.
You've been talking for a while, Jay.
Let me finish. I said talk. I got my phone.
Randy, you've been talking for a while.
I got my phone here. I said talk.
You said Cummings is weak. His failure to reach out is inexperienced. Okay, go ahead.
Can I learn, please? Okay, I'll just take I call it 1 nanosecond to learn. So, Mr. Cummings' inability to recognize critical issue is one of the reasons why I feel that he is not a leader that I should look up to. There are times that you must consider critical things, Leo. There are times that you must consider critical things, Dennis. The mistake Mr. Cummings is making today is the lack of coordinating things, evaluating things critically. That's the mistake he's making. Just recently, 70,000 guys got missing. What has Mr. Cummings done to give Liberia a closure? He allowed those things to go away.
Okay.
I am furious with Mr. Cummings' inability to be a leader of responsibility.
So, Jay, let me tell you today, I'm going to personally
hold on, Leo.
Other people to get Mr. Cummings to try and give you the call here. But
no, they're not the call.
All of the things you get. I'm not joking, Jay. Don't get anything personal, man.
What I want you to do,
Jay, you were listening.
I want you to say, I want to let
you listen this time around.
Mr. Cummings should be responsible.
Randy, you will listen now. You're not talking for a long time. Listen now to me.
Saying things that are
Randy, can you listen? Randy,
I want you to say, Mr. Cummings,
Randy Darpoh,
able to dedicate responsibility and show responsibility.
Okay, I will pass the message on the day I bother with him. But let me just go to the point quickly. So let me say this. All of what you just said, that Mr. Cummings doesn't do well, that he's challenged where he doesn't reach out. And these things are things that not every leader can do well. That's why they appoint competent people on their team when they become president who can help them do it. But I stop there after Tukpah. Go ahead.
Randy charges are Mr. Cummings is weak, his inability to reach out, and the people he got around him, he described one as Findabondo. I listened to Randy. He's calling names.
Yeah.
Right? He also talked about a feud that developed, and neither you nor Elon Munger did not step in.
Ask me about the feud that developed now. Don't use that. You ask me what's that feud.
No. I actually you didn't answer, so I'm asking Isaac now.
You are not giving me the chance. You started.
No, Randy. Let me finish. You said there was a feud.
My answer.
No,
That
I mean
question is
that's immaterial right now. I'm just
no, it's not immaterial. I will
I'm
have to
just saying to
come
him
with
now that these are the things that he said. There was a few, and you Isaac,
no,
even
you
though
should
you
allow
recruited
me
him,
to finish. You didn't give me the time to finish.
you recruited him to CDC, you recruited him to
Randy, you were
AMC,
finished. All the places I told you
and
finish.
now
No,
when
no,
there
no,
was
no,
a
no.
few, you did not do anything.
You're
And
leaving the
Randy
time
is
to
not the only person
let
who
me
is
go.
making this charge about the people surrounding Mr. Cummings. Almost everyone has felt the weight of the people, or some people even acting like hyenas around Mr. Cummings. Your response?
When you make a general statement about almost everyone, who are the almost everyone, and Dennis?
I have heard that a lot of times. Of people are complaining
So
about those around Mr.
if the
Cummings.
same echo chamber is going on, does that mean it's a diversity of people?
Well, I didn't give you any number, but let's go ahead. There
But
are
then
people
no,
complaining.
but then it's wrong for you to make those kind of qualification. Everyone, you gotta take back that everyone, then we can move forward. You can
Well,
say everyone.
Mr.
Mama,
Vatoba,
you gotta take back the
a
everyone.
lot,
You can't make that kind of statement.
yeah, a lot
You the
of people,
host,
a
you
lot
the
of
host
people,
of this show.
not everyone, a lot of people are complaining about those around Mr. Cummings.
Again, a lot is not a number. A lot
Yeah,
doesn't
no, it's not a
qualify. A
number. I
lot
don't
is
know.
the
I don't have a
majority.
number.
So exactly. So you
I
can
don't
say
have a number,
some
but I've
people.
been hearing
No,
that.
no. It's not fair, Dennis, for you to make those kind of statements. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It is not fair for you to make those kind of categorical statements.
But I've just corrected in your response if you feel his question is not right.
No.
Correct
This
it.
man is a rational man. If I just let man's statement stand there, it will not make sense. This man
No,
a smart man.
Isaac, I've been hearing this thing about people around Mr. Cummings, so I'm putting it back to you. You tell me if that's not the case.
Exactly.
Again, there are two people on this call who, when I was the chief of office staff with Mr. Cummings, and even after the fact, I still provided access to Mr. Cummings. You, Dennis, I provided access. So how can you people be on this panel and want to say or even listen to other people say Mr. Cummings is not accessible? That is so wrong. That is very wrong. Mr. Cummings, as much as hundreds, thousands of people want to see Mr. Cummings tries his best to make time to engage people, to talk to people. Sometimes I'll be honest with you. I will connect with some people, Mr. Cummings, and they will be talking absolute crap that I personally will not even want to listen to in my sleep. But Mr. Cummings has that patience. He will tolerate that conversation. So nobody can say, Mr. Cummings is not accessible. You may blame somebody that you call and say, oh, let me have a conference call with Mr. Cummings, or let me talk to Mr. Cummings, and they don't do it. But you cannot say that applies to Mr. Cummings because Mr. Cummings listens, Mr. Cummings engages.
What I was quoting, I said, Randy said the people around him. I didn't say Cummings, right?
Okay, so
and you are not the
No,
only
yeah, I
person
think
around
Mr. Jha
Cummings.
said the people he said have been complaints about.
But then
people
let
around
it
him.
be specificity. Who are the people you're talking around Mr. Cummings?
Randy, go ahead.
Randy, can you answer Mr. Vaz's question?
Yeah, I think Mr. Vatoba just overreacted because Mr. Dennis was quoting from me, but it's just that he overreacted.
No, he took possession of it. He took possession of it.
They Randy made that trouble. They said Randy called some of the people near again. You can't bring up battle or play. What we wanted to move from Jenna.
Yeah, we can't be making vague accusations.
So here's the thing here, right? Like I said, I will always go back to Leo. My whole time with the ANC was based on assessment, was based on observation, and was based on corrective action. All right. So when I did the assessment and did the observation, the fact that Mr. Cummings and I started communicating back and forth, and one day he just went sad, it became a concern to me as to what was
You're talking about those around Mr. Cummings.
They said some of the names of the people.
Randy will always bring this conversation back to himself because it's about Randy. It's not about nothing.
Can I get protected here, guys?
You understand that the man never got back to you and he went sad.
Who's
some of the names?
You see, when I start to explain, it seems to be that all three of you guys try.
But you're not answering the question. We are interested in the question. What are some of the names of the people around Cummings that you think?
I will give you an answer.
What are some of the names around people around Cummings who you think?
Well, let me lay the facts down here for you guys.
Which facts? The names.
Whoever in the office of Mr. Cummings that is holding and preventing Liberians from getting to Mr. Cummings.
I'm getting to that, right? You mentioned about a report. You see, I'm playing in your own zone. You said when you do an inspection report.
No, you misrepresenting my knowledge altogether.
Well, you can say whatever you want to say, but I'm presenting it that way.
The report supposed to be for the public, not for
right?
Mr. Cummings.
That's it. Every report got a context in it. So I said observation, assessment, and corrective action.
I would not hire you as an engineer. Right? That was the report I got.
So when I did my assessment of Mr. Cummings, I started the communication. For some reason, the communication went dead. What I gathered from that is Mr. Cummings is very inconsistent. He's not committed to understanding critical.
Who are the people around Cummings? You go to Cummings being inconsistent again.
Okay, I plead the fifth until I can be given the opportunity here. Because
the opportunity is Mr. Randy. Darpoh. Who are the people around Cummings?
If you want for us to make it one-on-one here, then you and myself will make it one-on-one. You will have to allow me to explain myself. And what are you trying to score an audience point here? It's not going to work because Jay Rennie does not back down. We'll talk until Daniel will shut me off. Let me explain myself. Mr. Cummings proved to me that he's very, very inconsistent when it comes to leadership responsibility. I gave him an assessment of what I thought and believe today should have been a very important part of his ability to lead. But his failure to dedicate responsibility, his failure to respond, it proved to me that he lacked this leadership of shared responsibility. Now, what happens in between those times, I'm not here to vilify anybody's name to come make somebody look good yet. But there are people within Cummings' circle who know themselves. There were no name mentioned in our report. Dennis, did you see any name there, Dennis?
No, in your social media, you call names. In the podcast, you call names.
Did I call names? Give me the name that I call.
Yeah, you don't know the name you call.
I don't know the name I call. I don't know.
But then leave it. If you don't know names, let's move on.
You posted something here. What you posted there were no name mentioned. I just told you that there are people who in our circle.
No, in your podcast, you mentioned names, but if you don't want to say them here, let's move on.
You did your due diligence. Why you didn't bring the name here? You did your due diligence, right?
No, because if you're man enough, you call the same names you call.
Isn't that what we have you here, Randy? We have you right here. You say
right? I think your due diligence when you rather focus on what you wanted to bring for Randy, rather than you bringing a text, because the text you show here did not mention any name. So let's focus on that text because that's what you show. That's the evidence. So let's focus on that text. That text you show did not provide any name, and based on that, I'm not going to call a name, but what I would say here is the people in Cummings Orbiter, they are part of the failure that you see Cummings experiencing today. The greater example I just showed about 70,000 that are missing, all right? And they cannot validate, they cannot provide any reason why that 70,000 got missing. Cummings infrastructure around here is weak. Cummings policy team, since he been into politics, he's just now putting the policy team together. As if I asked me, am I still the part of the policy team? I told Tukpah, if they need my assistance as a Liberian, I will provide my expertise. But have they ever reached back to me? No. Tukpah has said, he called me and said, look, we can work this thing out together. You see, the thing I fail to understand here is communication is key in any organization. If you have a leader who cannot utilize that tool of communication, it breaks everything down. And that is the problem with Cummings. Cummings was able to survive in Coca-Cola because of the structure. People coming to you and say, Chief, you have to make the call. Chief, you got the attendant coming on. Today, we got smartphone that remind us. Cummings, out of the Coca-Cola structure, lack the basic, essential thing to being successful.
Let Isaac respond to that. Isaac.
Before Isaac come in, can I just ask a quick question?
Please don't ask question because Randy will go off the rail again. Isaac, let's go.
Look, I don't know why is it. You guys are not being honest. I enjoy the door. Randy will go off the rail. Come on. What was
Randy just spoke. Randy just said all the things he said about Mr. Cummings. I want your response. Is that true?
What things he said about Mr. Cummings? All Randy wants is Mr. Cummings to that the whole basis of the conversation. Mr. Cummings respond to his report.
You see, this is the argument.
Randy, you and I spoke.
They are not coming to the point. I'm telling you
but
that.
There's no argument, Randy. You have no substance.
Look, Cummings is not a better leader. He does not know how to. He does not know how to what? to prioritize things. It's not communication alone. He doesn't know how to
So,
prioritize.
Randy, you are the priority for Mr. Cummings. You are the priority for Mr. Cummings.
Like I
You
said,
talk about
observation,
70,000. You talk
assessment,
about 70,000 got
and
missing.
corrective action. Observation, correction, and corrective action. Cummings failed that test. He failed that test. If Cummings was in a shorter environment, that report would have been, oh, Mr. Cummings,
Randy,
this is something critical here. You have to follow up on it. But he doesn't have those team of people around anymore.
Randy,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
who you send that report to? Directly to Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Then you talk about team of people around him? You
Yes.
are dealing directly with the man
The
yourself.
reason it happened, yeah,
Randy,
why it happened.
Randy,
Yeah, why it happened. And then they want
Randy.
me to
No, I want to hear your story. I want to hear your story. I'm speaking.
I want you to respond. Isaac, you said Randy must talk.
Let me talk.
No,
Let me
no,
talk.
I determine when he talk. When I'm on time to talk, I determine when he talks.
Okay.
So the point
Okay.
is, Randy is miserable and unhappy with whatever transaction happened between he and Mr. Cummings with regards to responding to him. Okay. Now, if you send information to somebody who has multiple information coming to them from different sources, if they don't respond, should that be what riles you up to the point that you just go like, I won't even say viral, say worse than viral. He went nuclear, you know. So he and I spoke. He never blamed Mr. Cummings. The only thing what they call Mr. Cummings call him. I said, look at your WhatsApp. He claims there were 2 blue clicks there, and that is completely false. Mr. Cummings never, got that message and never responded to it. But Randy swear Mr. Cummings read the message. He never got back to him, and that's why he was upset. And then he started blaming other people in the ANC. I said, but those people are not the gatekeeper to Mr. Cummings. Those people don't have access to Mr. Cummings, Randy. What are you about? Okay, so do you still want to work with us? Do you still want to be? Yes, for Liberia, I'll be on the policy team, blah, blah, blah. And Randy was on the policy team. So I don't know what he's saying. Did he expect Mr. Cummings to run campaign since elections were over 5 years ago to this present? No. Mr. Cummings used that time frame to get engaged with different Liberians, to get engaged with people, businesses, and support them to do all these humanitarian things that he's been doing. Mr. Cummings has a life, Randy. Mr. Cummings has significant number of people who he works with, who depend on him. So, Randy, I told you before, that call, you can't use that as the basis of engagement. It's not like the man had that call you before, the man never interacted with you. Randy, I'm speaking.
Okay.
Dennis, I don't think Randy has substance in this issue.
No, Randy,
I really don't think.
No, the issue, Randy,
Mr. Jack,
I want you to respond.
Mr. Jack, but the man has responded.
No, he said the only reason Randy is saying it is because Randy didn't get the call.
That's not true.
Yeah, so what
response?
more response you want me to do?
That's not true.
Randy got no substance in
Oh,
what
he
he's saying.
said you get. I mean, Dennis, I just want to point something out here with your viewers, please.
That's not true.
In the comment section. Nowadays, whenever I'm on a show, this issue come out, I don't like to slip off it because it reflects on the show as well. People are in the comment here who are saying, "Oh, Mr. Cummings are gay." I just want to correct this. This disrespect and this nonsense talk. People need to respect themselves and respect others as well. We are on a very public. We are on a very public platform here. If anybody comes here just to come and slander the platform, they don't deserve to be on here. I think we need to take punitive actions and blocking people.
Right.
Because as far as I'm concerned, just coming on this platform to insult people is not necessary. Criticize, make your points, but coming on here to slander people, for those of you who live in North America, it is illegal. It is against the law to discriminate against other people because of their sexuality. So please don't put it on the show here. Before tomorrow, when somebody lodges a complaint against a show that's promoting that type of hate speech, it becomes a problem for organizers of this platform.
Please,
so I just wanted to point
out. Please point that to me. I will take that person out.
A disclaimer.
Yeah.
So.
And my question, Randy, before you go, my question to you was: I've heard you many times call yourself a propagandist. Do you still believe you are a propagandist? Someone who operates in political propaganda?
I never recall myself calling myself propagandist.
Okay. Do you believe in a propaganda, Randy?
I don't believe in propaganda.
Okay, so you're not a propagandist. That's all the question I wanted to ask on that particular. But my question to you now on that piece is, Randy, let me say this to you directly. If you are a public figure, right?
Is it a question or a comment? If it's a
So
question, or a
this
comment.
one is a question. I'm asking
Okay.
a question. If you are a public figure,
Okay, so Leo raised a point, and let's make this clear. Mr. Cummings has said it time immemorial
Oh, wait, now,
that
Leo,
he is
hold on
not
there.
gay. Mr. Cummings
Leo,
is married.
what get acid the
Wait,
right?
wait, Randy. I'm
no, I'll come
speaking.
back to my question to you. That was not my question because I didn't even ask. I didn't even ask my question. I thought he was trying to point something out that I said.
Mr. Cummings is married. Mr. Cummings has been with his wife for 40 plus years. He has 2 children and he has 5 grandchildren. There is nobody who has brought any evidence in any way. Everybody know it was Obed who lied on Mr. Cummings. He even did a video where he confessed that he was the one who created a lie in collaboration with some guy in Atlanta. So for this
Right.
to steadily going on, we just gotta dismiss it
No, I
because
just wanted to even point it out so people don't think anyone here tolerates
thank
that
you
kind
for pointing it
of.
out. Thank you for pointing it out.
And we
Dennis,
must be very
he's
clear on
right.
this.
This platform is being elevated in a certain way, and you got to carry it on like that. You can't
Definitely.
tolerate for people to just be insulting in the comments, or so you got to have somebody monitoring who has admin responsibility to delete some of those people, because slandering and libel and all that kind of stuff against people, it makes no sense at all. So let's have a good show. Let's focus on the issues, and the issues here is Mr. Cummings is the best candidate to be president of Liberia come 2023. He offers the best opportunity to get out of the nightmare we are experiencing today as a people.
Thank you. And okay, let's be clear. In fact, let's say this platform, we really don't care for people's sexual orientation. Even if people are gay or whatever their sexual preferences are, they can still be on this platform.
Absolutely.
We have in America, we know at our job places, we don't do that. We don't talk about it. People are free to be whatever they want. And so this is not the basis of the discussion. Neither is it a basis for who becomes president of Liberia. Let the voters decide that.
Thank you.
Please, with anything about sexual orientation, please don't bring it here.
Thank you, Mr. John. So, Randy, my question is to you directly. As I've listened to you, I'm still trying to understand the basics that you gave for selecting leaders, right? You said equity, transparency, and accountability. Equality, sorry. You said equality, equity, equality, and transparency. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I got you correctly.
It's not the ability to elect a leader. It's ability.
No, not elect. I said for identifying leaders.
Well, you said elect earlier.
Okay, then I was wrong. That was an error. I mean for
it's not identifying. It's not identifying. It's about maintaining a working relationship.
Okay, so thank you. So that your rules or your standards for maintaining a working relationship are built around equity, equality, and transparency. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for actually saying that, because when you say so, that means that would suppose that you've already established a relationship. You are saying the things you need to maintain the relationship are those 3 things that you've outlined.
Correct. That's correct.
So when those 3 things are not met, you are here saying to me that means Cummings, in your assessment, does not have the ability to maintain a relationship. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. Where am I missing it?
Those 3 things measure Cummings by every indicators to determine whether he's up to the task of not.
So let me take my question back. Maybe you missed it here. You said clearly that the 3 things that are the standards that form the standards for establishing for maintaining a relationship for you are equity, equality, and transparency. Those 3 things are the 3 most important things for maintaining a relationship with somebody for you. That presupposes that you've already established, to maintain a relationship with somebody presupposes you've established a relationship with them. So I'm saying to you, clearly, in your opinion, this shows that Cummings does not have the ability to maintain a relationship, in your opinion, based on those 3 things that you just highlighted.
Not a bit. It shows that Cummings cannot relate to those things, which is very key to his survivability as a leader.
Okay, Randy. So let me end my question then. So in the context of a relationship, so my question to you is, does it mean that Cummings' inability to maintain a relationship, let's take the standards that you just listed, is that the reason that shows that Cummings is unable to deal with the economy, he's unable to deal with military, the education system, the sector? Can you clearly say that there are effective people out there, great leaders, who are not great relationship maintainers as well? Or do you think every single successful leader is someone who knows, who maintains a relationship.
You see, what you don't understand, everything for me operate in phases. In order for you to get to what a company can manage the infrastructure for our country, the economy, we have not reached that far. It was just me measuring Cummings on his ability to actually utilize equity, equality, and transparency that will build that relationship. Once that standard has been put into place, as far as the economy, the infrastructure, he has not reached down there. The man cannot even communicate. The man cannot prioritize. The man is not an effective leader. He cannot differentiate between critical concern, critical issue versus providing shared responsibility. So he has not even crossed those three things yet. So as far as what you're saying, I cannot speak to that because he has not been able to establish these things. And that's what I'm saying. He's not ready to be president yet. Maybe running for a representative or senator will perhaps helping in our role to learn and grow in our area. But as far as taking these things, Tukpah mentioned about Cummings got this. When those are right now we are dividing the two, right? Then is the first quadrant, you the second, Isaac the third, I'm the fourth. How does he prioritize things? Is Brandy message to me a priority? Yes. Is it mandatory now? No. What do? Do we dedicate it? Yes. Come to Tukpah. Is it important? Yes. Should we dedicate it to somebody else? No. He cannot prioritize those things. So how can I look at someone of that nature to work with? So he needs to improve on these things. So again, the SWOT continue to show that coming weakness and opportunity that he poses a threat to himself is a very high priority. And they are negative things. So he's not going to survive. Cummings needs to restructure himself from his team to his staff. You see, when he worked in Coca-Cola as a structural system, people around you who were being paid, well trained, experienced, assisted Cummings in this role. Now, when you look at what Cummings is doing today, it shows to you that there are a lot of inexperienced people around Cummings' decision because the reality can be seen out there. And those are things that not only the communication, but those are things that Cummings is exhibiting out there that doesn't measure up to him being an efficient, effective leader.
So then you should have an appreciation for Mr. Cummings. Maybe there's 73 districts in Liberia. You submitted information on 2 districts that was so important and specific to you. Okay? You raised the issue of Mr. Cummings saying he would not, and you misquoted Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings did not say he would not interact with people in a district that don't support him. Mr. Cummings cannot determine just that a whole district would just not support him.
He said we will not spend too much time in a district.
Thank you. Too much time.
My only reaction to that, it was very immature of a politician to say such a thing like that.
That's your perspective, Randy. That's why we have freedom of speech.
You have to
hold on, Randy. Let him respond.
Okay,
Randy. That's why we have freedom of speech. Now, you got limited time in election. You got limited resources. You got to go where you can maximize your value. That's the objective, where you can get vote. If there's an extreme consolidated, opposition or other location or district or town or village, you can't spend inordinate amount of time there trying to achieve what? People's minds are already locked in. You go there, you pay the visit, you engage the people, you share your vision. If there are some people who are willing to be open-minded and see what you are trying to say, most likely they will come along. Yeah, but you will not sit there and try to individually enforce your views on those people. No, you spend your time where you have a likely upside to gain people and to be able to move your campaign along. Hold on one second, hold on. Okay. And the prioritization, maybe whatever you send, I don't know what you send, you never send it to me. So whatever you send, maybe did not rise to the level of significance for Mr. Cummings for it to be the only thing that Mr. Cummings will focus on. And that's where you're trying to inflate yourself at it to say whatever you bring to the table is Randy, be quiet, let me speak. Whatever you bring to the table is the most urgent thing that Mr. Cummings should attend to. You build a personal relationship with this individual. Why did you try to destroy simply because he did not respond to something from you? You should go public, go viral, go nuclear, and be negative. Randy,
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Randy,
No,
Randy,
I have to.
Randy, hold on, Randy.
Okay.
Hold on,
All
Randy.
right.
When the two of you going back now, then I don't need to be here, right? So let me come in.
Okay.
There are two other areas that you say that you didn't agree with Mr. Cummings. I want you to state that so that Isaac can respond. And I hope Isaac will not say, "Oh, because the man didn't get called." You said we entire sovereign rally was a failure. You didn't support it even when it was coming on. That's one thing you disagree on Mr. Cummings with, right? And also you said Team Cummings was a big mistake. Those are two areas that make you to think that Mr. Cummings is not going to do a good job as president. I want you to expound on those two and let Mr. Tukpah respond.
Yeah, so
wasn't it the same man who said Team Cummings was his suggestion?
Oh, hold on now. Let him
you keep interrupting me now. All right.
Oh, you said Randy must speak?
Yes.
Yeah, he won't ready to speak, and then you can respond, Isaac, after.
He must speak on those two.
He wrote the thing the man complained about. Then he said he must speak about the complaint he made again.
Yes.
He must complain about his complaint. Okay,
All
go ahead,
right.
Randy.
No, I want you to expand on those two. So he will give you a reason why he feels that way before you respond.
All right. So before I do that, if you guys don't mind, just give me 1 nanoseconds to go back to what Isaac said in just less than 1 minute, right? So Mr. Cummings again lacked a leadership or shared responsibility and critical decision making. Whatever I said to you guys when I met Mr. Cummings, these are key things that I was giving to him. The fact that Mr. Cummings said, look, I will get back to you the next day, 3 p.m. GMT time. He recognized the significance of that for the mere fact that he got back. His inability to respond when he had multiple tasks showed that he's not an effective and efficient leader. Now, let's come to the issue of the protest, right? I disagree with the retired sovereign protest because, again, Mr. Cummings had a lot of inexperienced people around him, and that shows. When Mr. Cummings said as chairman of the CPP, the Combined Broadcast CPP, you saw significant gain by the opposition. There were times that the opposition was just bringing in more opposition candidates today. For example, you have Simeon Taylor, you have Darpoh Dillon, you have Borchas, and you have other existing legislators who got power back. What does that say to you? It means that the democratic process of the people, it is gaining some significant gain. So what Mr. Cummings needs to focus on is let's focus on this area by informing the people of what needs to be done. But because Mr. Cummings again cannot maintain consistency in his understanding, he clearly threw that opportunity away and want to resort into protest. Now, the protest, the rally itself, it was not meant for the public. When you look at that rally, the speakers at that rally, you didn't find someone who came from different places and say, you know what, I'm from West Point, I'm suffering. You didn't find a guy with 2 children and say, look, I'm the one suffering. It was only and mainly people who are in the political party itself. So that means that rally was not a civil society rally. It was a rally in to promote Mr. Cummings and only Mr. Cummings. And those who show up were only from the ANC/CPP. That was the failure. Number 2, the Team Cummings. Team Cummings became a failure because when Mr. Cummings brought the team together, he never vetted those guys that he brought. For example, Louis Brown, Daniel Chia. Many people aside from me are complaining about these people. Daniel Chia got rejected twice by his own people in Grand Bassa County. Louis Brown had never gotten elected to any position. Do you think if Mr. Cummings had properly vetted these guys, do you think they will be leading today? I'm not against any Liberian participating in any electoral process, but they should get back in the back of the line. Canada, United States, Great Britain, except for ANC. When people go out there and do the wrong thing, we bring them into the system, but we allow them to start from over. But when you look at Louis Brown, Mr. Cummings said, we can't keep to the city over and over. Louis Brown came into the party, 70 grand got missing. Nobody can give account. So it just showed that Mr. Cummings is very ineffective. He's not a leader that articulates the issue. He doesn't understand what it means to be a politician. He does understand the corporate world, which I gave that to him, but he's not living in a structured environment and he cannot structure things on his own. And these are things that I continue to bring to his attention. But the people around here are like, you know what? We don't trust that guy. We don't trust that guy. But the reality continued to come. But the team coming, I talk about, it was based on proper vetting. It was based on understanding what an individual would mean for the party. None of those things was done. And you guys see the reality today. So it's a total failure.
Thank you. Mr. Tukpah.
So, again, Mr. Darpoh said that his suggestions about team Cummings was utilized by Mr. Cummings, okay? But he has issue with the individuals. The specific issue is an issue that we have for two governments. Madam Sally was to implement the war economic crimes code. She didn't. We were with the CDC. We advocated for that. We expected it to be implemented and constituted when we came to power. Zero. So these people should not live the life, should not be involved. Only the Prince Johnson, the Jewel Howard, all the other people then who are involved with the war or associated with war crimes or with leadership in the war crime and Ellen Johnson should be involved in this thing, and you should exclude Louis Brown or Daniel Chair, who is there because of accusations, and they say further investigation. No proof was brought against him for them to condemn him. They say further investigation. So I don't understand what the expectation is, that you have to exclude these people or let them not be involved in a political situation. This is support. Team Cummings is a support arm for Mr. Cummings. They're not governing. They haven't been appointed to any position. So what is the concerning issue that people, are really so concerned about with regards to these individuals? So the rally, how will you, who have been in this democratic space, can see 10 people protesting and know that that protest is successful, that people came out, they have their voice, they can demonstrate the reason why they're out there, they can raise issue with the government. That's the fundamental right of the people. That's Article 1. That's power of the people to express themselves, and that's the rights that we protect in a democracy. So why would you say the rally was not successful? There was a significant number of people at that rally. People came out despite the threats, despite the fact that thugs and hooligans went to the studio that Louis Brown was at and tried to assault him, despite the fact that the chief of staff of defense came out and made threats to people. And there were other people out there. People still came out. But you got to understand, even now, people are scared. Some people, they don't even want to name or analyze or involve in anything before somebody tell the government that, oh, the person know Ava or the person was involved, and there's some retribution towards them. So the rally was very successful. Do we need to do things better? Like I said, consistently we need to do things better. Are you telling me today, Randy, that the Liberian people are not suffering? You won't say the people are not tired of suffering? The people are very tired of suffering. So for you to make those kind of statement, I mean, I don't know where you want to rally to.
You answer your own question, so that's up to you.
Isaac, my question to you is, talking about the likes of Louis Brown or Dan Moriah, Daniel, at what point did Mr. Cummings decide that indeed to win, we need to work with both the good people and the bad people in the likes of Louis Brown, Daniel Chi, and others that were mentioned in the TRC report? At what point in this campaign or in his political sojourn did he decide that?
I don't think Mr. Cummings has been exclusionary in any way. Okay, if you can go back and check who all supported him in 2017. I don't think about only people who can lay claim to perfection in their life. No, the reality of our country is a significant number of people were involved in the war. So you can't exclude these people if we do not have a war economic crimes code. So I mean, I don't know what is the expectation here. Dennis,
can I say something quickly?
Can I chime in with a question quick, and Randy, maybe you can go for it's for both of you. My comment is for both of you and Isaac. I'll ask the question to both of you, and then I will let you go at it. Randy, my question to you is: the same way you expect the Liberian people to forgive you, you vetted President Weah first, you supported him. That vetting turned out to be a complete horror because so far you left him. As a result, whatever your reasons were at the time, you left him because you felt like it did not meet what you have supported him for. You went back and, as I learned, if I'm wrong, correct me, and supported him again. You vetted him again because before you make a decision to support someone, I would assume that you vetted them in the first place. And then you came to Cummings. You vetted Cummings, came up publicly and told people you were supporting Cummings and listed your reasons why. And that vetting proof again to be problematic, as we hear you saying today that all of that Cummings does not stand up to your standard for what a leader should really be. Can you then say that the same things you're accusing Cummings of, also then people should have a second thought about Cummings, the same way you're expecting the Liberian people to listen to you whenever you come back and tell them, say, I'm not supporting the person anymore for XYZ reason because I saw this. And to Ava as well, my question to you will be, what you've heard from Randy, right? Again, what do you take it by virtue of the fact that there are issues about the people, especially when we look at the Retire Suffering protest or even Team Cummings, right? I'm not talking about people's involvement, but people that are very vocal, that have been given a platform or so. We have heard backlash from different quarters in the country. Now, whether those arguments are valid or not, that's a different debate. But can we acknowledge that there will have to be work done by Team Cummings if you're going to have people who have, some of them are allegations, but some of them there are evidence against them, not from court, because none of them have ever been taken to court to be found guilty. That we have to you have to temper with who is the face or who is vocal or who is giving a platform, especially when there are questions around their participation in the war. There are questions around other issues that are very, very sensitive to Liberians. Would you say that's something that Team Cummings should consider looking into and making sure that doesn't just become one of the things that people say, no problem, the people can participate at any level that they want?
No, I mean, no doubt. When people got concerned,
I thought I should have gone first. Or Leo, how you want to do it? Me or
the
you?
last.
No, so I'm sorry, Randy.
He's talking already, Randy, man.
Go ahead.
Look, the fact of the matter is, you can always improve. Like I said, if looking at this issue, if there's a preponderance of people who have an objection to Mr. Louis Brown playing an active role, yeah, Mr. Cummings should give it consideration. It's up to him to make that decision. At the end of the day, it's his campaign. People should understand this is democracy. This people have the right to participate, and Mr. Cummings has the right to make a decision about whatever group supports him. If Team Cummings will continue to be led by Louis Brown, that's a strategic decision that Mr. Cummings will make. And that's his choice to make that decision. At the end of the day, it's his campaign. And now, the people who believe in Mr. Cummings, are they following him just because a messenger of Mr. Cummings' message has an issue? Or they following him because of the substance that Mr. Cummings brings to the table, his ability to turn our economy around through his experience, his exposure, his network, his capability, his vision for the country? Would they put that aside and say that weighs less than the impact of a Louis Brown? No, I don't think so. I believe Mr. Cummings is a difference maker for us. We have a short time in our country to get to where we want to go. The leadership of Mr. Weah has failed. That's clear to most Liberians. And my position is the opposition should understand that somebody in the opposition should be given the opportunity to turn this country around. Whether it's Mr. Cummings, whether it's Boyka, whether it's Gonglo, they should have that commitment to a better Liberia, because Mr. Weah cannot do it. Mr. Weah has no trust in the international community today. He's like a pariah leader. And the opportunity for Liberia is diminishing in terms of support in our country. We can't do it by ourselves. We are not organically self-funding in terms of all the expenditures we got to do to develop our country. We need support from other people. The leader cannot be trusted to manage any resources to develop his country, and people are holding those resources, and he has demonstrated the incapacity to lead this country. Then what more should Liberian people do? Liberian people need to wake up and know what the best option that is for them.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching us and want to participate in the discussion, please call the number on your screen, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Randy, quickly, and then we can bring in our callers.
Yeah, so Leo, to your point, I never begged the Liberian people for forgiveness. And here's why. When I campaigned for President Weah, I said, if he doesn't do the right thing, I will come back here and criticize him. I believe at that time you were not focused maybe on the election in Liberia when you were not following me. But those things are already archived in the digital library. You can find it on any of my podcasts. I hope Dennis will help you to do that too, because he's a very good researcher. What I did do after Mr. Weah started to bring in people from the early stage of his government, I said that I will hold myself accountable by coming out here and telling the Liberian people what I felt that was not right at that time. And many of them understood that yes, and I backed that up with my audio recording. On the other hand, Mr. Cummings, again, a very ineffective leader that doesn't understand critical issue, that doesn't communicate issue, struggle with getting priority right, is unable to accept things he does wrong. All right, he doesn't understand those things. For example, the issue of rally we're talking about here. Mr. Cummings cannot even understand the critical points that he has made when he ran the CPP. The reason people turn out poorly because the Liberian people believe no matter their disagreement, it needs to go through the ballot box. And President Weah, upon his return to the country, even further strengthening the people belief that if you guys want to release me from this position, let's go to the ballot box. These are things that
Thank you, Randy.
should be put. No, I'm not. Okay,
Randy, I got like 10 colors already. So
no, but you gave Vato by the time to talk. Why you guys can be honest here tonight? Are you got ANC people or what?
Randy, please conclude your thought. Let me bring in our
because you gave Vato by all the water.
You can call me whatever you want, but conclude your thought.
Yeah, but you gave Vato by the 10. When I read the hit it, come on, man. Y'all be real here, man.
Come on, Randy.
The people.
You are wasting time.
Randy, stop your emotions. Stop your emotions.
You're not emotional. It's just been true here. It's just been true here. You're here to hear the truth. I will tell you the truth today. So, Mr. Cummings' inability to recognize that they poured 10 out from the rally that were intended to promote him is based on the fact that the Liberian people believe in their democratic process and not believe in Louis Brown philosophy of putting people on the street, which he did for Charles Taylor for all those years. You see, Mr. Cummings is a very ineffective leader, and we got to understand the party. This is a man who can keep you the city over and over. What we are, Ellen brought in.
Point of correction, Dennis.
What?
Charles Taylor was doing.
You are talking. I didn't talk. Let me finish my point. Mr. We are brought in rebel. Ellen brought in rebel. Cummings said we can't keep you the city over and over. When he bringing in Daniel Chia, Louis Brown. What is that? Is that the same thing or is he tied into the... So why should he be elected? I leave that with Tukpah and every one of you guys to think about it. Back to you, Dennis.
Thank you. Let me bring in our callers here. The first caller here is Elvis Morris. Callers, if you call, please make it under 1 minute because we have 13 minutes to close. Mr. Morris.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. John. And thanks to your panelists tonight. I want to agree with Randy. First off, he said a lot of good things. He said a lot of things that are true. I think most of us who are in the political sphere or follow these things, we know it to be true about Mr. Cummings. What I would disagree with him on is that I think Cummings will make an excellent president because I think he's an excellent manager, excellent, assembler of people. Competent people. But where I disagree with Randy on is you have to understand Cummings is not your father. He's not your dad. If you call your mom and she didn't call you back, you get emotional, you feel like she abandoned you. You're a man. He's a man. Stay on your 2 feet. You don't need Cummings to be talking to you like a girlfriend ever do when she texts you, you text your girlfriend, she see the 2 blue marks on WhatsApp, she texts you like she's talking to somebody else. Grow up, please. And let me just say this. Cummings is an excellent manager, but he's very unpopular with the people. He lacks charisma. And people like Isaac Tukpah, these are things that they should be focusing on how to improve him, as a candidate, because this is his biggest weakness. And his second biggest weakness that was once a strength was this whole Mr. Clean Hands thing that he came up with. A lot of us saw it to be, this is a different kind of candidate, a different kind of leadership that we can all gravitate towards. In the beginning, I gravitated towards that. But he can no longer claim that because he's sullied his good name with the people he surrounds himself with. So, I just want to make those 2 points. But Mr. Randy, you embarrassed yourself on the platform tonight. You got to do better next time. Thank you so much, Mr. Job, for taking my call.
Thank you. I don't know what you made the man embarrass himself, but
The man at ANC, man. Yes, man at ANC for you
The
tonight.
man, anyway, please go ahead.
let's take the next caller here.
That guy was balanced. Do you think that guy was
Henry?
ANC guy?
Go ahead. Let's call out your name and where you calling from. Henry Brisbane, I think.
Yeah, I'm Brisbane, Mr. Brisbane.
Go ahead, Mr. Brisbane.
First of all, let me commend you guys. You're doing great. Let me say hi to one of the men that I admire sometimes, which is Mr. Tukpah. But I can let each with all of them tonight. My issue I have with Mr. Tukpah is Tim Cummings. He's still backing Tim Cummings. And he was one of those 15 years ago when I was here, I condemned him behind George. We are all of them. I said they were not ready because they were thinking song for walking out. Why would you sit and allow Mr. Cummings to bring the same people back? And you here backing them, and you know you're fighting, but they seem people to go down the drain. Because people are like, oh, I don't want to see Daniel Chair, but Father is in the grave because of the chair there. Do you think I want to see those kind of people around you, Google people? No. And let me get back to my man, Rennie. Rennie, you stressed a great point. A great point. I must commend you. I mean, taking it off to Mr. Tukpah. This is what we want for you people. No insulting, no problem. But I for one, I never see you embarrassing yourself on the platform. I see you improving your case and making us to listen to you. Because the people that are sitting here today, we can't go back home to the 5 years. I was young, I came into this country. Because of the same Mr. Chair then I see people that are local, are like the Tukpah. Then I see him. Come on now. I see him with the kind of people. My children here. And I'm marking him. I tell my children, I say, look, this is the man I used to like. But this is what I mean. The people that are beyond, they cause problems to their grandfather. Where are we going? And we say one more plan. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Dr. Batom Kula. Dr. Kula, you are live.
Yes, I would like to say to Isaac and the rest of our people in the opposition, this belief that the Liberian people somehow will choose between the best of the options available to them, whether the opposition is divided in 3, 4, 5 different ways. It doesn't work that way. You guys had the momentum when you were together as one solid opposition, winning all the various elections to the point of even winning Monterrado from CDC. But now somehow you believe that these boys, even though they're incompetent and don't know how to govern, but one thing they know the psyche of the Liberian voters, they know community organizing, and you, Isaac, you were there, and you know what those boys know how to do in terms of propaganda, in terms of spin, in terms of lying to our people, to where our people grab on, because like they say in America, our people are low information voters, and they're easy to grab onto. And for some reason, Cummings and his group has not been able to tap into that. Yes, we know that Cummings will be a competent leader. You have all the competent people. You have all the technocrats. But you have to win before you can govern. And so far, I don't see the winning strategy. That whole rally was a flop. And this whole thing about y'all splitting the vote between y'all, Gunglo, and the old man, and somehow the people will choose who they want to choose, is going to end up giving us Ria by default. Watch
Thank
my
you.
word.
Thank you, Dr. Kula. Thank you. Let's go to Aliyu. Please let's make it very quick. Aliyu will complain, say I'm cutting it short. Go ahead, Aliyu.
Oh, so I already know what will happen, so I expect it anyway now. But thank you for accepting my call. Really, that whole statement about You're embarrassing yourself. Don't even give it enough credit because it don't make no sense. You know, our political leader, Joseph Nima Brother, say the thing that chasing you, or the thing that running behind you, if they not start running, you yourself you can't start running. So don't stop doing what you're doing. And let me say something to my brother Aziz Tukpah. Aziz Tukpah is a political hustler. To sit down here today and defend Alexander Cummings for the same thing that he came and started bad mouthing other people for. You know, they say when the Babu ready to die, you can't even hear whistle sound. The Liberian people continuously tell you people that they do not support Alexander Cummings. The Liberian people continuously told you people that Louis Brown being in front of anything, they will not support it. They give you the clear evidence at that SPG Sport Complex. You move from there, you and your political leader just say that the mayor will go away, you have to include everybody, and this and that. I'm not saying don't include everybody, but I am saying, why did you come in the first place and pretend to be the angel? And the whole thing about Alexander is a good player, Alexander Cummings is a good manager. Who can really prove this thing? Only political hustlers going with this message. Alexander Cummings has never proven to any single Liberian citizen, even right now, his behavior in the political arena does not show that he has any inklings of what a good manager is. I work in corporate America myself. Everything is set up for me. And therefore, I cannot fail and I cannot steal. Any attempt to steal, I will get caught. It doesn't mean I'm not a role. So just because Cummings work in corporate America does not make you any more decent than the people who find themselves in unstructured environments. So let us start fooling ourselves. And if you want to do well, listen to the Liberian people and go by what they're telling you. If you speak with your knowledge and your understanding and your wisdom, we call it being set in your ways. When you do that, you will see the consequence at the end of the day. You can have 10 poll in 10 cities, and then come and get either 0 or 1. And you still believe that you're going to win. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, you make a now you okay. Isaac Cisse is the next caller. Gentlemen, I'm trying to go ahead, Isaac. You're live. And callers, please be short now. 30 seconds because we have more callers. I don't want my Isaac, just turn off the one you are listening to. Isaac. Okay, let me get Terry Yankun. 30 seconds, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, greetings to the platform. This thing Lion Yankun. Well, I called to give my take on the show tonight. You know, we're talking about this candidate who's trying to take over from our president, George Weah. I know as a 48-year-old man, you know, we Liberians, you know, in the late 30s, 50s, 40s, well-thinking Liberians, we always choose George Weah. And I want to say that Mr. The brother in the studio there, what's his name?
Just go Randy or Isaac.
Randy have been one of the brothers that made a very significant decisions for this, the century. When he decided to go against Cummings or he talked against Cummings, because Cummings has proven himself to be a liar to Liberian people, and Liberian were investigating his character, his lifestyle, everything. People shouldn't be, angry people. We're talking about this man who want to take over George Weah that will cause so much faith in. They may carry some multiple development for Liberia, making the case for Africa and Liberia, mostly Liberia, more than 45%, 40% of the world, forest tracks in the world, and he's making the case for global warming that will bring money to this country. And then we want to just take Cummings because he's a corporate manager and just put it over George Weah and make who they lie. Okay, let me just lay on this.
Thank you. Yeah, we got 30 seconds.
But what I'm saying is that Cummings are speechless because we've seen that people who are behind the scenes that supported our war, and Cummings are lying with those people, and Cummings want to be on underwater media who are so close to Chancellor with Andrew City, with all those people that they cannot cheer those people, and now it has proven what he's been doing behind align with Louis Brown, all these things that have not been strings of Cummings. So you be careful with that man.
Thank you.
Very dangerous man who's out there. And on top of gay business, he himself called himself gay.
So Dennis, at this point, I just ran. Let him go.
Let's get to the next caller here should be Liano Lekpei, I think.
I hear other ninja for a long time.
Oh no. Liano, go ahead, you're live.
No, this is I'm using that from this is mobile Keseli.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, mobile Keseli.
Okay, so first of all, it is quite disappointing that the host will allow Randy to disrespect Mr. Cummings. Talking about corporate America, what has Randy achieved in corporate America that measures to what Mr. Cummings has achieved when he was working in corporate America that now gives Randy a better understanding of first corporate America before we talk about politics? So let's go into Liberian politics. What is Randy's track record? How many candidates has Randy produced? How many presidents has he taken the elections and made him to win elections that now puts him at the highest pedestal in our politics to determine how someone can win an election or lose an election? So those are a few questions for Randy. So another point I wanted to strike here before I go is that we are saying by Mr. Cummings allowing, say, Louis Brown or other Liberians who were involved in our civil crisis to support him, he has automatically become stained. So you're telling us because Joshua is stealing as president of Liberia, all Liberians are rogues, and we should never associate all the other people that are in the government, or that if you meet Joshua, you automatically become a rogue? I mean, what kind of analogy is that? It makes zero sense to me.
Thank you.
You have a man in Alexander Cummings who wants to change Liberia for all Liberians. He cannot start discriminating. He comes with better character, better understanding. To change Liberia, he needs to show that kind of better way of living to other Liberians that you consider to be bad.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Moba.
Every Liberian from every facet of our society involved with our politics is very important. And they need to work with Mr. Cummings so they can see how things are done in a better way, because that's how we're going to change Liberia. We have a leader who accepts everyone, regardless of who they are,
thank you, Moba.
Change them for the betterment of the country.
Thank you. Thank you. Well taken. Let's go to 206 area code. Your name and where you calling from? 5866. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, brother. This is Favor. I'm calling from Seattle, Washington.
Go ahead. Oh, Seva?
Yeah, calling from Seattle, Washington. 5866.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead. 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, brother. What I just want to share here is that we Liberians, we should try to desist from this kind of evil attitude to one another. You know, I've long been hearing the name Tukpah. I just came across truly on Facebook, and I just came across this. You know, this focus on Liberia, and I just seeing his face. I didn't know him in person. But this is one evil thing that he just carried on in Liberia, and I would say thank God for social media. He wrote a book against the president, denigrating the president, insulting the president.
No, I read a book. He did not denigrate or insult the president.
I never read a book. I don't think he read a book.
Never read a book. He never read a book.
Nobody changed it.
Did you read a book, sir?
Never read a book.
Yeah, please quickly.
He left upon himself. Nobody was after him. He went to the border of Sierra Leone, want to cross overnight, so that he would lie on George Weah.
It's okay to have you fact check. If you didn't read the book, don't talk about it.
Okay, let's go to our next caller. Yeah, Oliver, I think. Go ahead. You're talking about how the men be evil. We're not even discussing the issue.
Yeah, unfortunately, thank you for having me on the show. I'm happy to be back. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead.
Mr. Tony, I always like to show you always on point. And even though Mr. Jones got you on that one, Leo kind of pickleized you. But other than that, Mr. Tukpah did no justice to Cummings today. But what I'm question is that is, most of listen to Mr. Randy most of the time, and you talk about other issues that are really on point because you got the research, you know, the background and all of that. But my question is that today, is there something like a flip side that you up to, or I don't know? And Mr. Arthur, I'm sorry, when it comes to Cummings, that lady, even you could have known that. Even that offense, you don't know to repeat the whole thing over and over. And I think he just started doing it. So I think I was giving Mr. Rain the prop. But if Mr. Johnson had the opportunity to campaign for anybody, trust me, he would be better than what Mr. Arthur doing today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. John Mawolo, go ahead.
You hire me to campaign already?
Yeah, good evening, Dennis, and to Leo and Isaac. Look, listen, it's amazing how disingenuous our people can be.
Oh, God.
You know, we intentionally do the wrong thing and act like we're surprised when we're done doing it. You know, a man like Randy and Aliu come to tell somebody they're working in corporate America.
John, John. No. When you start talking a man like this,
then we got to debunk it.
Yeah, but you can debunk it. Hold on, John. John, hold on. You can debunk it without denigrating a man like this. When you say that, just go ahead and debunk what they say.
Cummings, why I can't say a man like you?
You Cummings?
You know? No, I'm not Cummings.
Right.
I'm talking about qualifications.
Right. So just go to the issue, John.
Randy is an environmental engineer. But you tell people I'm an engineer. So somebody saying you think you're a civil engineer. Listen, people got their areas. These people come and talk about Louis Brown as if Louis Brown were a killer. The Liberian people voted for Charles Taylor, who brought the war by 85%. As if it was not enough, they voted for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who supported the war openly.
Mm-hmm.
Twice. And then you come and ask why Louis Brown, who works in a legally elected government, is on a program.
No, he was also part of NPFL, the rebel movement. So
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Your vice president today, she was part of what?
And Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was president. Why is Louis Brown interim government participated in the war?
Right.
Show me 5 people who are active in Liberian politics that were not part of anything that somebody can criticize.
Thank you.
The same reason the Liberian people said, let me close. The same reason Liberian people said they couldn't vote for Cummings the first time because he was new. He was new. Why? Because he had just come. He was not involved in their politics. Now you take somebody who involved in their politics and all of them jump over. Louis Brown was not in the bushes. He was part of their parties. Why was he not a problem until he started to support Cummings? The hypocrisy.
Thank you, John.
What's best for our country and stop looking for reason to do wrong.
Thank you, John. We got so many people. Call us, please make it 30 seconds. Patrick Johnson.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Arthur, for giving me the opportunity. My point, I'm not really a politician, but I follow most of the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that the Cummings team is not helping him. My view is this. When you are making a case to the Liberian people, you don't be bitter. I noticed that on every platform I go, when they talk about communities, people get so bitter. And when you're making a case, you got to be persuasive. You got to be inclusive. You have to be ready to take criticism. But I noticed that they are so angry. So I'm just taking this time tonight that when you are making a case to the people, you have to be, you have to be flexible. You have to be ready to take everything in and share your case out there until the people can accept your case, until they can believe it.
Thank you. Well taken.
How to go about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, we got so many callers. I don't know if I can finish them. Let me get three more. Benedict Brown, I think. Go ahead. You're live. And after that will be James Lassa and then a wireless caller.
Thank you, Dennis, for taking my call. I'd like to say thank you to the platform guest. And then I'd like to say tonight that if you look in Liberia today, we have several thousand people are going to bed hungry. Our people haven't taken pay. And many people will celebrate Christmas and New Year, with hunger. They are not eating. And we hear discussing people who participated in the war and people who did not participate in the war, pointing fingers at one another instead of discussing substance. Those that have issues with Louis Brown, if you have issue with Louis Brown, why are you not having issue with Joel Taylor? Joel Taylor was a what? Of President Taylor. All right, where 250,000 plus of our people were slaughtered.
Benedict.
Nobody has issue with that.
Why you say that? Why you think they don't have issue with Joel Howard Taylor? Why you think so?
Well, the reason is that Joel is the vice president of Liberia.
Right. What do they have control over that?
Well, they don't have any control over that. I understand that, and I get it. They don't have any control over that. But they you see, the hypocrisy is that if people will sit on this platform and want to discuss in comments or comments for including every Liberian, as part of the process building, then they should have problem with people who actually, they should be holding liable for the war. But they're not doing any of that. But they want to hold people. Louis Brown was somebody like, who was hustling. He wanted to survive. All right? And luckily for him, because of his smartness, he happened to fall to work within Taylor ciphers, just like everybody else doing. So why are they faulting him for the war?
Thank you.
It's so hypocritical that anybody don't want to do that.
Thank you.
I think we should be discussing. Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't have much time, but
yeah. Thank you. Let me pick three more. I got maybe like 15 more callers, but I can't take all of them. Mr. Lassa.
You keep saying three, yo.
Yeah,
you keep saying three.
Dennis, it's good to be in your company tonight. I want to say hi to your analyst, mainly to my friend and brother, Tukpah. Look, just allow me to make a little response to one of the past callers who pretty much advanced, an indictment against patriotic Liberians when he said, naming any 5 Liberians who were not part of the war. I want to let him know that this abuse his mind of the notion that all Liberians or majority of Liberians were part of the war. That's not true. Examples of the 5 I will name for him quickly will include such as Cummings Wilson, Dr. Wodokobi, Jawon Gonglo, James Fumoyan, Dr. Tukpah Natipote, my grandmother, Nwai Gokuya Lassa, and myself, James Lassa. We have many who were never affiliated with the war. So it's not fair to say, naming any 5 Liberians who were not part of the war as though that is an impossible question to answer. Well, look, regarding your debate tonight, I think initially, first of all, I don't think it's fine that Randy Darpoh should be expecting reasonable minds to follow or listen to him much if he's pretty much every now and then being so inconsistent from vacillating from one political angle to another political position. That's just not, it doesn't represent any sign of stability of somebody who is insightful. But regarding the Cummings issue, I think Cummings came in, he would have made very great impact if he had been able to select the right people, the right talent. I don't think that corporate part of the question is there with him because his record of the selection of personnel that he has attracted to his team prove that he certainly lacks that quality. If you look at such, I don't want to call names, but the chairman from the CPP right now tells you something about that. Of course, Louis Brown has been my friend from university days. I don't know that he was part of any he was a fighter, although I know he associated with government. But Chairman Congo raised issue with Louis Brown regarding his isolation and his attack against Ellen only to be appointed to government. And then he said, oh, if you also you think Ellen bad, but when inside she's good. And then, he's right now, if we appoint Louis Brown to be Minister of State, he will do it. I hope my friend Louis Brown listen. I don't mean any harm, but I don't know that he was any fighter. I have no record for that. But looking at Cummings right now, would have made a great impact if he had come.
Thank you, James. Before they think I favor you because you're my man.
Okay, great. If he had recruited the right talent and all of that, or even consider the option of going with a VP as a VP candidate. At this point, I think if he's patriotic enough and recognizing that Liberians are suffering and we need to move on, he probably could realize and adjust if many Liberians think he should get out of the race. Or some people think he should even stay in the race so that he can diminish the votes from the Southeast that we might otherwise get if he's not in.
Thank you, Mr. Lassa.
He has rendered himself almost irrelevant to the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much, Janice, and I appreciate it.
Our last caller here will be 270599. Your name and where you calling from. Please turn that off and quickly so we can go.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. You're live. Your name and where you calling from.
My name is Sarah Johnson.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. Yes, I'm calling from. I'm calling from United States. I'm calling the issue concerning Louis Brown. Louis Brown. Okay. When the war started.
Mm-hmm. Just stop listening. What you're listening to. Mm-hmm. Turn it off, then you can talk on the phone.
Yeah, start listening to yourself.
Okay. All right. Yes, I'm concerned about the Liberian people attitude concerning Louis Brown.
Okay.
They shouldn't fool us. We were here when the war started. Everybody, as far as I'm concerned, or as far all Liberians are concerned, everybody took part in our war.
There you go.
It's like when Jesus asked the Jews and said, if you know you have not sinned, throw stone at that woman. And there's nobody in Liberia that did not participate in that war. They should leave, let me just make it short. They should leave Louis Brown alone. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was president for 12 years, and she was the mother of the war. Nobody complained. They voted for her because they wanted her to leave. The ministers, the pastors, the people of God were sleeping in churches, having night vigil to make sure that the war comes. The people of country, they allow their young boys to come to Monrovia, gravitating towards Banga to join the war. Let the war come. We are tired. Okay. They have checkpoints. They have checkpoints mounted all over Monrovia. And who they were looking for? Just one group of people, the Crown people. So Louis Brown was not among those people. If Louis Brown was working in the office, he never told them. So what they trying to say, let them leave the man alone.
Thank you.
Fair. I do not know this man. Liberian people are too deceitful. They should stop this thing.
Thank you.
Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said twice, they didn't say anything.
Thank you.
What happened? They think they will continue to fool people. Let them leave Mr. Cummings alone.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Mr. Jah.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. I have so many callers, but I can continue. Let me go back to my panelists. The colors, they are on my phone everywhere. Isaac, your response to our colors. 1 minute.
1 minute for the
Yeah.
multiplicity of.
They are
Then
very-
I'm gonna just.
I got 10 colors standing by.
The man basically saying you
We're
might,
not
you
going
might.
back to call. We're not here all night, Dennis. Your
Yeah, that's
schedule
what I'm
should be
saying. I said
tonight.
go ahead.
We're already exhausted more than 2 hours. You know,
Right,
we
that's
just
why I
out of
said go
respect
ahead.
we're still here. Yeah, but you can tell me now after I listen to all the different comments from people. The first thing, people are not presenting facts, so we got to clarify some facts. I was never at the Liberian border with Sierra Leone. I was going to TNE. They picked me up from TNE or before the checkpoint before TNE and drove me to the border. I never went to the border. So let people get that clear. The second thing is we wrote a biography. A biography is based on somebody, their life and what they said, what they did, and everything like that. So there was no words that came from us that we just originated for any purpose or to allow Mr. We are in our biography. Everything there is documented. The people who can come forward and testify to everything in our book. Some of it is documented in print. Some of it is people's interviews and stuff like that. So for people who making all these fake accusations, no, we have our moral values. We didn't insult anybody. So you all read the book. You all know better. You all try to educate our people. Now, it's clear from this discussion. Well, I can keep that. We can just talk about the comments from the people. We still support the war crime court. Mr. Brown and anybody else who is a potential war crime indictee or will be on the stand, they understand what Mr. Cummings' position is. Mr. Cummings goes by the rules. A war crime court, they will face the war crime court. If they're innocent, that's great. If they're not innocent, they take responsibility for their actions before. Mr. Cummings can't control that. But to tell Mr. Cummings that other Liberians cannot be involved in his campaign, I think that's wrong for some people. Vote for substance. Vote for Mr. Cummings because he has the ability to change the trajectory of our country. He has the ability to help our country's economy move forward. And again, the CDC, they didn't lie when we're advocating. No, when we're in the CDC before all the way to 2017, we're focused on the issues. And we're demonstrating, we're expressing our political franchise. So for people to say, I don't remember any demonstration of the CDC where they have, that many people that were at SKD recently. But when the leadership came to power in 2018, they totally went against everything that was documented, everything that was in the CDC policy. That's why they cannot even keep up to the promises made in the PAPD. They are failing, and it's clear that failure is there. If Liberian people cannot recognize the failure, and they are saying because of a Louis Brown, so they want to suffer another 6 years, that's the option. That's the beauty of democracy. But Mr. Cummings is giving them that choice as the individual who has the leadership ability, who has the vision in terms of his platform, focusing on jobs and the economy, focusing on education, focusing on agriculture, focusing, on healthcare, focusing on infrastructure to make a difference for the Liberian people. And that's why he's demonstrating those behaviors. Unfortunately, some people see it as being inconsistent, which is not. Mr. Cummings embraces everybody in a big tent, and his focus has been communicating to the Liberian people, sharing his vision with them, and trying to convince them about where he is. In this statement about some people who came on that they're working with corporate America, what the evidence that he worked with corporate America? Put your resume, let's see. People make accusations and comments to people, and that's fine in a democratic space. You can say anything. But a lot of times, if it comes to the point where you have to prove what you have to say, you can't prove it. You stuck on things. But it's clear Mr. Cummings' record is proving. Mr. Cummings' level of integrity is proving. Mr. Cummings' commitment to Liberia in terms of what he has done over time before he wanted elected position. Even before Ebola, his interaction with other Liberians that he have helped along the way to make a difference for them is clear. So when people make some of these comments against Mr. Cummings, you can only defend for so much because people already locked into a certain position that you can't change their mind. So again, the opportunity is there for them to take the right person to move our country forward.
Thank you. J. Randy.
Yes, let me say big thank you to all your audience today. And
it's not your closing. I just want you to respond to our callers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so those who ask what have I accomplished? Well, first of all, I came to this country through a scholarship and got all the degrees I have. That's the first accomplishment. And I did not rely on any politician to come to this country. There are some who came to this country and still here right now that came through the bloodline of a politician. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so committed today. As an engineer, somebody mentioned environmental engineer, you live in Philadelphia. When we talk about air pollution, when we talk about contamination, that's what we do. One of the polluted cities is Philadelphia. The individual that spoke over there, whenever he see the air monitoring result coming up, whether it's green, yellow, or red, it's come from the environmentalists. Today, we are transforming from electricity grill to solar panel. So that's the power of an environmental engineer. We work here to improve the life of people. And today, the government of the United States support this role. Now, there are others who say J. Randy is flip-flopping. The electricity rate with our politics is very high. Like I said, in our politics, we wouldn't have pro or cons. That is, we have for and against. My goal is to create independent mind. Whether you do wrong today or you do right tomorrow, I will criticize you. So those who say, oh, you flip-flopping, they don't understand because you either for the government or you for the opposition. I don't believe in that. If you do wrong, I will tell you you're wrong. If you do right, I will tell you you're wrong. Cummings is very inconsistent with what he does, and there's no way someone like me who work in corporate America and still in corporate. Cummings is not in corporate America. He's done. I'm still claiming. I'm an engineer. He was never an engineer, and he will not be an engineer. I don't work for a sugar or water company. I work for a pharmaceutical company. We save life. We don't destroy life. All right? That's what happened. So a guy left right here destroying people's life. But I Tukpah know that, you gotta know that. You drink too much of sugar, what's gonna happen to you? All right.
Let's leave that one, Randy.
I'm making my comment. I'm making my comment here. I'm trying to separate myself now. That's the achievement there, right? All right. So those who come out to say those things, when you do wrong, I will tell you you're wrong. Today, politics in Liberia, no matter what your political leader or party does, there's nothing wrong. You should continue praising. Mr. Cummings came out and said, we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over. He set a tune. I don't care whether Charles Taylor, Eddie Johnson said, President, we have brought in people. But this man said, we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over. But he comes and doing the same thing. This man said, past performance will predict future performance. He's not vetting people, he's bringing them up. This man said that he got a clean hands. His hands are not clear. So all the colors that are calling in favor of him, the question here is, Cummings should have himself to blame. He said things, he is doing things contrary to what he said. That is a very inconsistent individual. So I'm sorry, guys, that you're feeling. I don't enforce feeling here. I enforce standards. I enforce policy. I measure behavior. I measure moral standard. None of these guys from the ANC got those things. It's very, very sad for them. And just to be honest, I'm trying to create an independent mind. So when you do the wrong, I praise you. When you do the right, I praise you. But they don't understand that because our politics, majority of them are illiterate. Last point here. People are saying, why Louis Brown? Let me ask the people the question here. This is a very uncut question. 1980, when Doe executed the people on the pole, Doe had gone to the airport and said, hey, every one of you guys for the Tukpah party family, let's stay here and pay a B-tank. How many people are going to wait there? You know you're not going to be over there because you were furious and angry with Doe. Those who felt the wrath of Daniel Chia and Louis Brown, they saying things, then you can, so let's go back to 1980. Doe at the airport say, hey, look, guys, let's stay here, man. I dare to you people family, let's work and build a big tank. How many of you guys are going to do that? I leave that question with you guys. Not question with your conscience.
Thank you, Randy. The only thing I would say about the war, for those of us who suffer a lot as a teenager, and my experience is documented on my blog, read dennisjad.blogspot.com and see what we went through during the war. So sometimes it's very painful, even moderating, when somebody tried to indict me and other victims of the war as being responsible. But we have to take it, we are moderating. Mr. Johnson, your comments to our callers, and then we take our...
Yeah, before I make my comment, I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest, with someone like Randy being an environmental engineer talking about Coca-Cola when they produce the sugar water stuff. That's disappointing, to be honest. I would have expected an environmental engineer would know
It's
better.
true. It's
The
true.
amount of hold on. Can you hold on? You were speaking. No one interrupted you. Dennis, can you please tell Randy to hold
Randy,
on?
wait now. Let him man talk.
Coca-Cola owns the amount of brand. In fact, most of the mineral water, pure water now that people.
Mineral water pH level is very bad.
Oh my God!
It's very.
What kind of environmental engineer you get? So you need to go back to school.
Leo, don't go there. Go ahead.
No, I'll go there because you keep interrupting me. Let like intellectuals here, please. You were talking, even though I disagree with some of the things you say, I listen painfully to try to take it in. Coca-Cola also owns natural, nutritious drink being ordered by doctors now. Also, I can name them to you if you want me to go. Huh? I can name them to you. Sorry, guys. I can actually name them to you. There's a brand currently called Honest, right? That's a brand in hospitals. Unless you want to tell me the hospitals too are trying to kill people that is selling them drinks.
That's why I told him not to go there because he knows that.
Yeah, don't even go there because Coca-Cola is actually deep into the pharmaceutical. Even some of the components of pharmaceutical are using. Coca-Cola is also owning those brands now. Coca-Cola has bought almost half of the global brands.
I'm not a caller. The three to go after the
Hold
caller.
on.
You reveal your own color.
You said it. You said it. You embarrassed yourself.
I just want to correct you here.
It's the truth. I say it's the truth.
Environmental engineer. For our callers,
it's the truth.
There is one point I have gleaned from our caller. It surprises me, and even Mr. Randy and Ava here, we should talk about it because I'm lost. Maybe somebody help me. How come you have all the known rebels, top leaders in these rebel groups that are in CDC, they are in UP, they are now affiliating with ANC too, but for some reason there is a public outcry when it comes to whether it's Louis Brown or Daniel Che affiliating with ANC. But it is not when we go to United Party. No. We can everybody protecting their own rebels. Is that what we've actually come to? If we're going to get to the point as Liberians and be serious about saying we don't want anybody affiliated with the war participating in our politics, and you know what we're supposed to do? The likes of Councillor Tiawon Gonglos and those are making a noise should take them to international tribunals. Liberia does not need a war crime court to sue somebody to an international tribunal. In fact, foreign countries are doing it for us. We saw right now, was it Switzerland or that went this or went to Liberia to set up a court to try people who participated in the Liberian war and were accused of war crimes. What are the people of Iran we pass around and selectively make this noise? If we think Louis Brown participated in the war, he should not be in our politics. Sue him to court. UP don't protect your own rebels. CDC don't protect your own rebels. Then ANC want to protect. No, if we are universally saying he who must come with equity, he who claims equity must come with clean hands. So Randy Darpoh, what I want to know, who do you support and which party you support in Liberia that does not have rebels involved with them as well or alleged rebels involved? So let's get down to the conversation and stop whether somebody is a rebel or not. They are fully entitled to participate.
Let me answer the question. You asked me a question, guys. Let me say
people.
You asked me a question.
You went to school, but let's stop the team.
You asked me a question.
No, I didn't ask you.
Let him finish talking, Mr. Darpoh.
I was making a point.
You asked a question. You asked me a question. You did.
You forced me to ask you a question. I said no.
You just asked me a question. No,
I did not. I don't need an answer from you. I'm making a statement.
Okay.
Yeah, so I say, I beg all of you, if we get into the issues, let us get down to the issue and discuss it. Whether somebody fought in the war, they're not fighting in the war. Until they are found guilty in a court, they have absolute right to participate in politics.
Right. And
let us not argue that.
And Mr. Johnson, yes, people can challenge them. People can raise those questions, and people have been raising those questions against all warlords. The reason why probably is prominent tonight because we are talking about ANC and Louis Brown name is mentioned, but people have called on Prince Johnson, they have called on all the warlords, and they have been campaigners of war crime code since the end of the war. So the records are there. So let people call who they want to call. But gentlemen, thank you so much for the debate. I've disappointed a lot of my callers because we have 20 more, but we can't just be here. If need be, we can have another round. Every Friday is debate night right here on Focus on Liberia. And so you'll have the chance to participate more. We're sorry we couldn't take all the callers. Please come back Friday. Let's go now to get our closing. Isaac, Randy started, so you're going to close. You're closing.
Yeah. Just very interesting how Randy has personalized his engagement with the Cummings just on response to him, and submission. So I don't know if when he has really worked in corporate America in an environment of ideas where there are competing ideas, competing time frames, competing issues that different responses are necessary for. That if they don't accept your idea, then you go nuclear. So, you know, his case against the company just based on his personal issues, and we can't help that. So he got to look within himself and decide who is best for Liberia, because elections are not in a vacuum. Mr. Cummings is not running against himself. Mr. Cummings is running against other flawed human beings. Mr. Cummings is not perfect. Mr. Cummings is running against Mr. Joseph Boyka, who was somebody who worked for 12 years in Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government. I don't want to provide criticism here against Mr. Boyka, but other people have done it. He'll be running against Mr. George Manuel Weah, who is the current president. We have seen the deterioration of every economic indicator under the 5 years of this government. So, Randy, you can tell the people at the end of the day which candidate you support, because you're not going to get any candidate from in the air to support them. The same way Mr. Cummings will not go get Liberians from in the air or from some foreign place to come and support him. No. Those people at the stadium that you say was a failed rally, they are Liberians. They were expressing themselves. If you say you believe in democracy, you will believe in the right of those people, thousands of people, to express themselves and not dismiss them. You say Mr. Cummings must listen to one person, Randy Darpoh. But you saying President Weah should not listen to thousands of people who are out there because their lives are right now very stringent, they're suffering. Then you look at the people on the stage who were speaking and dismiss them. The disgruntled sedition, you want to dismiss him and say that our ANC person. He's a known sedition. You look at a guy from the Taylor on the Taylor Alliance, and you say he's an ANC person. No, he's not. He's expressed himself. Everybody know that our people have been excluded from the economy. And Mr. Cummings wants to rectify that. The jobs will be in the private sector. Government cannot hire all Liberians. Government is responsible to create that nurturing and enabling environment for us to do business as a people. That is not there today. Access to capital, not there. Access to fair competition, not there. Access to government contracts, even though sometimes they say they got set aside, is not available for Liberians. Look at the Ralphie rule. What's happening right now? They give it to an incompetent East International that has no ability to implement, and yet they are there. That's the difference that Mr. Cummings brings. That's the accountability and transparency that he will insist on. His professional experience will come to bear in the best interest of the Liberian people. So, Randy, you need to rethink yourself. You have admitted on Mr. Cummings' competence as a political leader. When he led the CPP, big gains were made for the opposition. They demonstrated that. Who undermined the purpose of the CPP? Who was afraid to go into a competitive situation within an organization? You can compete. It was very clear. They lied on Mr. Cummings for nearly a year. What happened with the people who lied? What happened with CFOS today? What happened with Moge who are orchestrating that lie? Trying to smear a man simply because the man expresses himself as being clean, having integrity. It doesn't mean he's perfect. It doesn't mean he will answer every telephone call or respond to every text. Those expectations are just too high for anybody. So just build in your mind that Mr. Cummings is a human being. Mr. Cummings is not perfect. I know you want him to be perfect. I know you admire his. I think we recorded that discussion, right? So I can bring statements where you're talking about the competence of Mr. Cummings, why you admire him, why you wanted to support him. That's why it's so disingenuous for you to sit on this platform and talk negatively about a man that you praised to his face. Very disingenuous. So I feel sorry for you, Randy. To those who are talking about Yeke, yes, I totally find Yeke's statements repulsive. We have to respect our presidency. He can't be insulting the individual operating that office like that. No, he shouldn't be. But he also accused President Weah of being involved in the war. and he's not the only person who has done it. So for people out there who just focusing on Louis Brown, there are many people I've talked to. The issue, I don't think, was Louis Brown being in the war. It was probably about his leadership at LPRC or whatever agency he was running. And it's not like hard facts were following him. So he's entitled to that War and Economic Crime Code platform to make his point.
Go ahead.
Sure that Robert, we can have that discussion. I doubt if what he's saying there is correct. You can say some of the people and then include Louis Brown. That's very disingenuous of you, Robert.
That's an apology as if I was supposed to appear. Sorry, go ahead.
He may value you. He said you are not supposed to be on the platform. So anyway, Liberians should understand that what Mr. Cummings represents is an opportunity for us to turn the page. Okay? So they should ask themselves the question, all right? Is my life better today than it was in 2018 when George Weah came to power? For those who feel their lives better and the country running well, this democracy support Mr. Weah. Then they should ask themselves the question, where we are today. If I look down 6 years down the road, will my life be better? Will my children's education be better? Would this country be provided with what we need to be compared with other nations in West Africa, in a continental Africa, and around the world? For me, that's a definitive no. For them, it could be yes, they could do that. So, folks, let's really focus on the substance. Mr. Cummings support a War Economic Crimes Code. Whether Louis Brown is there or not there, the War Economic Crimes Code will come to Liberia, and those people will have the platform to prove their innocence or to be found guilty. So, folks, we can continue these conversations, but I think we need to move into the substance. If you can just focus now, Mr. Moderator, as we move forward on the issues that are affecting our people and the different solutions that Mr. Cummings is bringing to those issues, and we can get into it in detail, that would be wonderful. But these kind of minor, personal, emotional stuff that Randy brings to the table is not substantive enough for us to spend critical amount of time on, especially when there's a government in that has supporters that don't have any substance. The biggest thing is to just denigrate and try to smear an individual because he claims integrity. He has demonstrated integrity for 40 years of his professional life with no sting. The Liberia he come to now to can't sting him. No, the people are trying to sting him. He doesn't fall in that category. So let's wake up. Let's do the right thing. Let's move this country forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy.
Yes, first of all, again, let me say a big thank you to your audience out here and to every one of you guys on the panel. I think the discussion was great. We learned a lot from each other here. And I think with our democracy still going through the embryo stage of maturity, we have to establish the standard of how our democracy should be practiced. My goal is to create an independent-minded Liberians, because we cannot have you versus me without having an independent minds. The greater countries that practice democracies in this place, America, we are independent voters, and their votes are based on what they prefer. 1 minute they will vote, and for another candidate, for example, it happened in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, in the first round of Donald Trump, they voted for Mr. Trump, and in the second round, they turned against Mr. Trump. We don't have that in our country because our foundation politics did not really create that, and I'm trying to create that. Coca-Cola is a brand that is known by the world to be a sugar company that produces Coke. There are many mineral water companies out here that surpasses Coca-Cola when it comes to mineral production. Their key product is Coke, which is sugar and water. Study has shown that they have created a lot of problems in the society here. So there are many mineral. Coca-Cola major product is not water. I will leave it as that. Now, Mr. Cummings, I see many people trying to sell Mr. Cummings' brand. Mr. Cummings came from a structured environment in the United States here. He has not been able to transfer his personal acquired skills to effectively run a political party. Since 2011, Mr. Cummings continued to make the same mistake over and over and expecting different results. That proves his inconsistency and his inefficiency as a leader. He doesn't know what to do. Secondly, Mr. Cummings came and said, we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over. talk about war crime code, talk about the individual, whether they went to court or not. These people hurt people. They hurt people. How do you validate them by bringing them into your party? What role do you put them into in order for Liberians to understand that you made a decision that represent those who were hurt? Mr. Cummings cannot articulate that. He proved to be a desperate person rather than a passionate person. Liberians don't need that. Mr. Cummings' desperation has led Mr. Louis Brown to exploit his desperation by coming into his party and taking charge of everything. Mr. Cummings, according to Mr. Varga, a far high and far wide, which I appreciate from the beginning. There's no doubt in my mind that I did not appreciate Mr. Cummings. As a professional person, we look at people's capability, we look at people's productivities. But when you start to make decisions, is where someone like me will get very concerned. You can come with all the qualities, but the way you make your decision and the people it impact, it draws concern to me as to who you are. So let's put all Mr. Cummings' vision far wide, far high. But when you look at how he tried to create a balance in his leadership, where Liberians, on the other hand, are not happy with individuals who have been rejected through our same democratic process. But he decided to ignore the pain and suffering of those people and bringing them in the face of the party. What does that tell you about Mr. Cummings? He's out of touch. He doesn't understand the pain that the people go through. So as far as him being a people person, he's not. Had he been in Coca-Cola, of course, Coca-Cola policy would have restricted him. But this is a man now who said he got a team, but he cannot really look by vetting people in what to do. It creates a problem in my mind. And that's why I'm saying he is not ready to be president. He's not fit to be president. I think by trying at the legislative level, maybe trying to become a representative or a senator will help Mr. Cummings in a way to grow as a leader, because he's not in touch with reality on the ground. He doesn't understand things. He's not a man of his own mind. He does not brainstorm on things. He accepts things rather than assessing things. So how can he be? All right. Now, when you look at Mr. Cummings' behavior, he came and set a tune in the country. All right, where he said we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over. What does that mean for the typical Liberian? Past performance will determine future performance. What does that mean for Mr. Cummings to the people of Liberia? When you look at things that he's doing today that represent the same thing, like I said, I don't care whether Charles Taylor, Ellen, President Weah brought in rebel working with the government. But when you say we can't keep doing the same thing, what is that definition? All right. When he come out and say, I'm not perfect, but he says he's a clean hand, where does that fit? So these are things that Mr. Cummings had equated himself to that I look at him. When he is asked about his passport, all right, as if I made all the comments, but he didn't allude anything to Mr. Cummings' integrity. Every one of us here carry passport. When somebody say, have you ever applied for a passport? Do you have a passport? Where is it? But Vatoba want to make me the candidate on the platform. I'm not running for election. I'm just here to criticize things. So thank him for making me to be who I am. At least ANC people get to know. But I'm just trying to let the ANC that I call the communities, I'm just trying to let them to understand that the leader of your guy is very ineffective. The people around him is very ineffective. I did an assessment. I did an audit. I spoke to Cummings in April. I spoke to Cummings in July. And everything measured out to show that Cummings got more threat that he poses to himself than being an asset and value to the country. He is not ready to be president. And I can tell you that in time to come, Mr. Cummings. Lastly, Mr. Weah came to the country and redirected all Liberians to go towards the ballot box. That is a plus for the administration of Mr. Weah. You can disregard everything because it is very uncommon for any leader who is in power to say, let's go to the election box. It proved that Mr. Weah, in fact, Mr. Cummings even made Mr. Weah day, because while Mr. Weah was in the United States attending the African conference, three of the agenda, one has to do with having people to exhibit their constitutional right. Mr. Cummings was out there making Mr. Weah day by doing things. So Mr. Weah did not even need to explain himself, but just said, look, here go my country. My opposition leader, former Coca-Cola executive, protesting on the street. That is the freedom that I'm bringing to this country here. So what The question here is, why Asif Tukpah did not go? Why all the ANC people are making noise, they did not go? Their leader is to leave, but they were not there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson.
No, Asif Tukpah talk more than me.
Yeah, thank you. Jay Randy, man. I tell you not you go ahead and for more, man. Anyway, but let's be honest. So first of all, for me, Mr. Ava, and you as well, Jay, good, having this conversation with you all and listening to your various points. I just feel as a panelist here, I like to just set the record straight on a few things. And number one, Mr. Judge, just to be correct, so Cummings served as vice president for Fanice for Pillsbury, which is one of the largest top 4 companies of food producers in the world. He worked at LBDI, right? Let's get these things right. When we say Cummings is so sugar water, that is unfair. He served as one of the top leads on the African Presidential Archives and Research Center at the Center of Global Development Commission of U.S. policies toward low-income African countries. That is governance. Those are governance experiences. There are lists of other institutions that Cummings has worked in. So to just summarize and say, Cummings is so cocoa water, that all we know, that is absolutely untrue. So I just wanted to set that record straight. That the one thing we like to identify, well, when other bro will collect one thing we actually run with. Does that mean all the issue you are raising and that issue to be raised? Absolutely. But let's not do it to say, to make it look like we are trying to hide that. For my closing comment, I would like to talk about the War Crimes Court issue. Let me make this clear. It is impossible for Liberia. It's a lie. All these falsehood people running around with telling people we should set a War Crime Court. The government said it will set a War Crime Court. CDC making that comment was an uneducated comment. First of all, the actual files to provide evidence for establishing a War Crime Court as being seized right now. Liberia does not have access to it. It's at Georgia Tech being seized. It has been seized because the Liberian government had a contract with Georgia Tech to store it for a period of time. And after the period of time, they either had to pay or they will forfeit all of the files to Georgia Tech. It's been almost 7 years now since they forfeited the contract. So under the contract terms, Georgia Tech has seized all of the files, the source documents for the war crime or for the TRC. No Liberian government or official have access to it at all, which means it is practically impossible to set up a war crime court because you don't have access to the source documents. It is currently being seized by Georgia Tech. So before we come to make these statements out over here, let us not do that. My last comment would be to you, Jay, to Ava, to everybody. The problem we have in Liberia is there are no political institutions. There are no strong political institutions. So we find ourselves chasing leaders everywhere. When the other person pops up, so we support them if we feel they align with the cause. Maybe we need to start having a bigger discussion around how do we go deeper beyond just having these parties around leaders who seem to have the clout to bring people together so that when they leave, we're done. So Liberians, before anybody come here and start making a noise and uneducated opinion about war crimes code, the first thing we need to do is to go pay Georgia Tech money and figure out if they are willing to give us back our source documents for the TRC, because no war crime code can ever be established in Liberia if those documents are not available to the Liberian government.
Thank you. Ava, Vada want to hit Randy because they need to talk. You recruited Randy to CDC, you recruited Randy to ANC. Where else you carrying Randy up from here? You don't have to respond.
Nowhere.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, Ava and Randy and Leo. Thank you for joining. I want to thank our viewers for staying here with us for almost 3 hours. We apologize for think it was a very spirited discussion, so we held you a little bit too long. Again, keep it here at Focus on Liberia. Every Friday we have Friday night debate, so join us. And if you play in Foya and you want to come to ATS, just give me a call. Until then, we want to close our discussion tonight with the song that says, "We are all Liberians." Some people say they don't like this song, but I love it. We are all Liberians, folks. Good night and God bless you.
Thank you, guys.
We are Liberians.
You love this song.
Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia. Liberia.